scene and Mugabe eventually opened the gates. He and another unidentified individual were seen in handcuffs. Aaron Singh, Eyewitness News, Hyde Park.
Ekurhuleni authorities are responding to a factory fire in Dalville in Germiston this afternoon. It's understood a blaze broke out at a local chemical factory, forcing a mass evacuation. Residents have been warned to avoid the area completely over fears of explosions. It's not yet clear what caused the fire, but work is underway to extinguish it. Ekurhuleni EMS spokesperson William Nhladi.
We are evacuating currently. Basically, all the personnel and staff members around the factory itself up until we find out exactly what chemicals do they have and the dangers that are related to them.
Suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya claims his former subordinate invited alleged criminal kingpin Vusimuzi Matlala to the SAPS Service Excellence Awards. Sibiya, testifying at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria today, has suggested that Hilda Sintumule, who is currently acting in his position, has a very questionable relationship with Matlala. Earlier, Sibiya played a 4-minute recorded telephonic conversation that he had with Sintumule, where she alleges that Mkwanazi has a plot to destroy his reputation. Babalondenze reports.
According to Shadrack Sibiya, his former subordinate, Hilda Sintumule, had accepted a donation from Vusimuzi Matlala for the SAPS Service Excellence Awards.
It appears that Matlala was invited on the instruction of General Sintumule to attend the SAPS Service Excellence Award, and that the donation was accepted from his company Medicare 24.
Sibiya says he's in possession of WhatsApp communication suggesting Sintumule invited and accepted a donation from Matlala.
It is further alleged that 10 free refrigerators were accepted by General Sintumule as a donation from Medicare 24.
Sibiya continues with his testimony. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News.
In the courts now, the state has raised a conflict of interest concern in the corruption case against former Public Enterprises Minister Malusi Gigaba. The prosecutor has told the court that Gigaba's instructing attorney is also representing a key state witness whom authorities have been pursuing for over a year. Gigaba, along with 5 other accused, appeared in the Johannesburg High Court today after the case was transferred from the Commercial Crimes Court in Palm Ridge. They face charges of fraud, corruption and money laundering with allegations that they manipulated tender processes at Transnet. Dimakato Leshoro has more.
The state argues that the attorney cannot represent both an accused and a possible state witness in the same matter, describing it as a clear conflict of interest. Advocate Manilal told the court that despite raising the issue in writing last November and requesting that instructing attorneys Ian Levitt choose between the 2 clients, it has received no response and wants the court to determine the matter to safeguard the integrity of the proceedings. But the judge has left it to the legal teams to resolve this by the next appearance in May. Malusi Gigaba, along with Anoj Singh, Brian Malefesi Abongagama and Tamsan Ngajiani, are facing varying charges of corruption and money laundering arising from Transnet's locomotive procurement program between 2010 and 2014. Dimakato Leshoro, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg High Court.
And in the UK, King Charles has released a statement reacting to the arrest of former Prince Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. The King says he learnt of the development with sadness, but the law must just take its course. The former Prince was arrested today on suspicion of misconduct in public office. The arrest comes after police confirmed they were assessing a complaint over the alleged sharing of confidential material by the former prince with late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein died by suicide in 2019 while in custody in the United States, awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. Gold is trading at $5,006.89 an ounce. The rand is at 16.15 to the dollar, 21.81 to the pound, 19.06 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $70.38 a barrel.
Free-flowing traffic at this stage. No serious accidents have been reported. However, look out for those faulty traffic lights in Hyde Park, Gideon Smuts and Republic. Traffic lights still not working. This is in Bramley at Corlett and the M1.
In your sport, Marazan Cup ruled out of the ODI series against Pakistan due to illness. Betway Premiership title race heats up as Mamelodi Sundowns claim a crucial win over Orlando Pirates. And Arsenal squander 2-goal lead as Wolves secure late draw.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 29 and 30 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. The son of former Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe is being questioned by police following a shooting at his home in Hyde Park today.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Your brain's a well-oiled machine. Now put it to work in the brain of 702. Enter on primemediaplus.com. T's and C's apply.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
"702 Drive with John Perlman" is proudly brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here. Good afternoon, everyone. It's 8 minutes past 3 on Thursday, the 19th of February. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Wherever you are listening to us in 702 land, welcome to the show. In news just in, government has given Rand Water the go-ahead to release more water into the Gauteng system. They hope this will stabilize some of the many delivery problems that have affected thousands of you. And that has been over the last couple of weeks. Hopefully this is a step in the right direction. More details on that after 5. In other stories, 4 of the men abducted in Russia and forced to serve in that country's frontline army in the war against Ukraine have returned to South Africa. What happened to them? What are they saying now? Will charges be laid? We'll hear from a family representative after 4. In the United Kingdom, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, formerly Prince Andrew, has been arrested on charges related to his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. More on that with Adam Gilchrist at 10 to 4. And closer to home, Bellarmine Chitunga Mugabe, son of the former Zimbabwean head of state, has been arrested following a shooting at his home in Sandton. Oren Singh is on the scene. He'll be with us shortly. On the markets, the all-share has lost 730 points today. Among the steepest fallers, Sibanye down by 5%, DRD Gold and Kumba by 4.5%. Better day so far for Sasol, up 7.4% as the oil price continues to rise. Mondi is up by 3%, Pick n Pay by 2.3%. The rand has weakened substantially, trading at 16 rand 19 against the dollar. That's a loss of 17 cents over the past 24 hours. A euro will cost you 19 rand and 6 cents. 21 rand 77 will get you a pound. The oil price continues its sharp rise. Brent crude is now up by $1.26 and currently trading at $71.29. Stephen Critters joins us with all the market news at 25 past 4. We'll get sport with Tola Kele Mganga, and Bali Dlamini joins us with the very latest news headlines at 3:30. Karabu Chali is keeping an eye on the roads. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live, and if it's happening in 702 land, you'll hear it here first. With your help, of course, contact us on 072 702 1702 or 011 883 0702.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
As always, we've got lots to talk about, lots to ask questions about, lots to think about, including some rather random thoughts that either pop into conversations or appear on the internet or simply come up in the mind of one of the members of the team. And then we think, that'd be fun to chat with our 702 family about. So on our mind today is going in cars. Now, not just going in cars and where you go and so on, but who sits where. The conversation kind of began saying, if you're a couple and maybe you're going out and the best friend or one of the people in the couple is alongside, do they get to sit in front, or do you as a couple have preeminent rights? Then Karabo Malapile raised a very interesting example talking about how if you're with your partner, married or not, and you're going to pick up the mother-in-law, does whoever's not driving vacate the front seat so the mother-in-law can sit at the back? And at first I thought, well, listen, I always sit in front. If I'm not driving, I sit in front. So for me, it's straightforward. But actually, it isn't always straightforward. And these things can become little proxy wars, about who's most important. Oh, you prefer talking to him than to me, and so on. Even in a gang of mates, are there hierarchies where you're all good friends and you'd all describe each other as best friends. But maybe the very best friend of the guy whose car it is gets to sit in the front. And where do longer legs come into it? This is also something that I don't need to consider, but maybe other people do. I hate sitting in the back. Jonathan Fairbairn, you brought this hot mess up. Tell us why.
Afternoon, John, and afternoon to our 702 family. No, it's just an interesting one. Like over the December period, my best mate Simon was out from the UK with his wife and his kids.
Yes.
And he obviously had hired a van to drive around. And for basically most of December, I never got to drive because, he stayed a bit at my house, and then he would come pick me up when we went to golf or whenever we went and did excursions around Johannesburg. And all the times that he arrived, his wife, who I'm also very good friends with, she obviously arrived with him. She was sitting in the front in the passenger seat, and obviously he was driving. But then she would always get out and sit in the back and let me sit up front with Simon, which I thought, well, that's actually very nice.
Yeah,
nice thing to do.
Sit with your best mate. I get to ride with you. 11 months of the year.
Yeah, and then sometimes I thought, maybe she's getting a bit tired of this and having to sit in the back all the time.
Yes.
But she was so gracious about it, and she was just very, very cool about it. And then I thought about when we've got in the car with, if I'm driving and my missus is with me, and let's say the roles were reversed. My missus does the exact same thing. She gets in the back and lets Simon sit up front with me.
Yeah.
Now, I've been in other cars with other people where I've had to sit in the back, wherever we were going, multiple days in a row.
Yes.
And I kind of looked at it and I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. Each to their own. Whatever your dynamic is, I'm happy to fit in. But is there a written etiquette when it comes to vehicles and who sits where? I mean, I've seen a video with the mother-in-law as well, where it's the son's car and the wife gets in the front, and the mother-in-law was having none of it.
Yes.
She was like,
Oh, and says,
I sit in front. I sit in front.
Yeah.
So, each to their
Very,
own.
very interesting. Speaking of mother-in-laws, by the way, first contribution from Kolani, who says, mother-in-law, no, wait a minute, the screen is censoring me here because Kolani is very blunt. Mother-in-law is not sitting in front because she's not coming in my car. Let's avoid, Kolani says, let's avoid World War III, please. Kolani, I put it to you that you've just declared World War III unless these facts in this arrangement are already well known. Karabo Charlie, you and your partner, maybe her mom, going somewhere, you're driving, who sits in front?
So I'm always driving, but with my family, it's not a big deal.
Yes.
My son, if he wants to sit in front, he's welcome. My partner will sit at the back. So we're very chilled about it. But I remember growing up, obviously the adults always sat in front, the kids always at the back. But there was this one particular friend of mine, right? So when I'm traveling with him and his mother or dad, I'll just politely sit at the back, a well-behaved boy. But when he's traveling with my dad or one of my parents and we're driving in my dad's car, he will run to the front seat, and I'll be left there and it's like, this is my dad's car, dude.
Yeah.
And my dad will be just like, no, let him, just be polite. And I'm like, why should I always play the polite game? I get to sit at the back when we're driving with his parents' car, but why is he getting all this privilege in my dad's car? So it used to annoy me so much. So if it's my dad's car, I sit in front, guys, please.
Okay.
You got to shout shotgun. That's what we used to do.
Yes.
That's what we used to do
And
when
if you
we
fir-
started
and if you first, you
driving as
get
youngsters.
the front
So
seat.
whoever was driving their car and you wanted to sit up front with them,
Yeah.
you'd have to say shotgun, shotgun, and then you got the front passenger seat.
Now you tell me. Okay, well, it's a bit late. Stories of battles for the front seat, please, on 011 883 0702 072 702 1702. Still to come on the show. We spoke last week about a massive court case involving repossessed properties, a class action suit that begins, I think, on the 24th of February. Check it out on MoneyWeb. Kieran Ryan's story is very detailed on that. But we're going to ask this question in our weekly feature, Your House, Your Home. Repossessed properties, are they actually as much of a bargain as people think they might? That story coming your way at about 5 minutes to 5.
John Perlman
On 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
Okay, Karabo Chale, whether you're in the front seat or the back seat, traffic is not the nicest thing to find yourself caught up in. Who's in traffic at the moment, if anyone?
Well, I must say, looking pretty good at this hour, John. Free flowing across most parts of 702 land. No accidents have been reported. However, it is peak hour traffic, so expect some delays. There's several traffic lights not working in Melrose. This is along Caller Drive. This is on approaching the intersection of the M1, Ethel Oaklands, as well as Melrose Boulevard. In Marlborough, also faulty traffic lights at Marlborough Drive and Zinnia. Look out for those traffic lights not working. Hyde Park at Jan Smuts and Republic, as well as in Lone Hill at Lone Hill Boulevard and Main. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
18 minutes past 3. Let's go to Sandton now. Hyde Park, I think specifically, where you would have heard in the news the son of the late and former president of Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe, his son Bellarmine Chitunga Mugabe, has been arrested by police this following a shooting incident at his home. It's not entirely clear exactly who was shot, although we do hear that the person who was shot is actually in hospital and in a critical condition. We also understand that 2 people have been arrested, but some of the details and facts appear at the moment to be a little sketchy. Fortunately, EWN reporter Oren Singh is on the scene. Oren, very good afternoon to you. First of all, what do we know about the person who was shot and their condition? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. Well, we believe he is a 23-year-old man. We understand that he was an employee employed at this property in Hyde Park that Robert Mugabe's son, Bellarmine Mugabe, has been occupying. We're not sure if they own the property, if it's under rental, or what the circumstances is around the Mugabes and this property, but we believe that the victim, who remains in a critical condition after being shot twice in the back, was employed by the family and was working on the property. Police claim he is a gardener that works on the property. However, we've confirmed with various sources on the scene that he is a security guard rather than being a gardener. So that's where things stand regarding the victim. At the present moment, Bellarmine Mugabe remains in the property with another unidentified man who's also been arrested. We saw both of them in handcuffs earlier today when we arrived at the scene. Massive white property, sprawling a good couple of dozens of meters in parameter, and massive black gates here. Police still on scene with Bellarmine in the property and questioning him.
Do we know anything about the other person who police are? I don't know if they've arrested the second person or are merely questioning him.
No, not much, John. We've just been told the ages. He seems quite young. He's a 24-year-old from what police tell us. But police did say that they have been arrested and they will be charged with attempted murder. But we have seen in the past where high-profile arrests such as this happen. Bearing in mind we're just around the corner from President Cyril Ramaphosa's private estate, those sort of charges can be dropped and it can be changed to we just question them and the charges have been dropped. But we'll have to wait to see what police do here. We've seen forensic investigators come through. Police have collected a cartridge. They're still looking for the firearm. They haven't been able to find the firearm that was used to shoot this employee. So they're still searching for that in the meantime. 2 detectives arrived not too long ago. They're questioning the neighbors of the property next door who seem to have CCTV footage and cameras that face this property. And I suspect that the detectives will want to have a look at that footage.
I want to ask you, Oren, any sense of a consular or diplomatic presence that Zimbabwean foreign affairs officials have arrived and are in some way, engaging with the matter in whatever way they can?
Not so much, John. From what we know, that diplomatic police were patrolling this area, given that obviously the president lives around the corner, when they were flagged down by security guards saying that there has been a shooting, and they were pointed to where the victim was. The victim ran out of the property, and he was laying on the opposite side of the property on an open plot where there's some grass, where he had obviously collapsed before an ambulance was called and he was rushed to the scene. So far, we haven't seen any sort of diplomatic presence. We do believe that Robert Mugabe, the late Robert Mugabe's wife, Grace, has been informed of what's been taking place here. Just as I'm talking to you now, John, there seems to be an SAPS vehicle that's backing up into the property. This is a SAPS van, which suggests that the alleged perpetrators, if we can call them that, or the people that have been arrested in connection with this crime, might be loaded into that van in due course before being taken away.
And just finally, can I assume that Bellarmine Mugabe has no diplomatic status? He's not an employee of the Zimbabwean government. Is there any clarity on that? I don't know. I would assume if that is the case, no immunity would be asked for or given.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that at this present moment in time, John. All we know that is he is quite young. He's a 29-year-old. He was born in 1997. He has had several run-ins with the law in the past. He seems to have had a troubled past, despite being the son of a former president of a massive country in Africa, Zimbabwe. But he has had some issues in the past, and we believe that this is not sort of the first incident of this nature, not pointing any fingers at Bellarmine himself, but of this nature that has taken place at this property. Sources close to us suggest that there have been incidents of trouble at this property in the past, but they have somewhat been swept under the carpet.
Yeah, and I'm just Googling, by the way. He was present when his mother, back in December of 2018, was accused of assaulting a South African model who was visiting her son, and I don't know if it was another member of the family. I'm just scrolling to get this. The person who laid the charge was someone called Gabriella Engels. I'm not quite sure what happened to that case. I seem to remember it fading out. But yeah, apparently her 2 sons were there when the mother came in and this incident ensued. Thank you. Oren Singh, still out there in Hyde Park, will update us via the news bulletins. Next one at 3:30 as soon as there are any developments. 24 minutes past 3.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Now, you may recall a story a little while ago, and it was a very, very in the midst of the absolute deluge of corruption stories that emerge, and they probably represent a small proportion of the corruption that actually happens, and we cover an even a smaller proportion of those. But this one I think will have stuck out for many people. The original issue, an 836 million rand oxygen plant tender. Now, this was meant to service South African hospitals. The Independent Development Trust, the IDT, was involved. There was an investigation. The Department of Health was the client. The IDT was the service provider, and Public Works Minister Dean McPherson got involved. And eventually, the procurement process was moved to the Development Bank of Southern Africa. However, a story in News 24 today by Azara Karim, who's been following the story closely, indicates that some of the companies who were deemed to be entirely unfit for the deal when they first got the contract from the IDT are back as contenders, or possibly have already secured tenders, we'll find out in a moment, under the DBSA. It really is an extraordinary situation. We often get assured that when somebody is found to be absolutely unfit for doing things, they are not necessarily blacklisted, but they don't get themselves considered again. But seemingly they do. Azara, very good afternoon to you, and thanks for your time. So you've been following this story for a while. Who are these companies? Why are they unfit? And crucially, why is the DBSA giving them another chance?
Hi, thanks for having me. So yes, the story in News 24 this morning really seems to ask the question, has anything really changed between the IDT and the DBSA and between the transferring of mandates? What we found was not necessarily companies that are unfit. I mean, these companies themselves would not be able to carry out the highly technical and complex task of delivering and manufacturing these pressure swing absorption oxygen plants.
Right.
But rather, what are the connections between them, and how do they connect to the last tender? And what we found was the DBSA has actually awarded the contract to two companies, and it's a far cry from the 836 million from the IDT. It's now 379 million. But we found a connection between one of the companies awarded the DBSA contract and another company that has an active contract for the same equipment with the IDT.
So what's going on there? Is this carelessness? Is it collusion? How do you read it?
I read this as on the company that I'm speaking about and their bid, it's a possibility of collusive tendering. I also, if we have any lessons to learn from the PwC report and Amabungane and Daily Maverick's previous reporting on the IDT process, we need to keep a close eye on these companies because of how they tendered in the IDT process. What we found there was, forged signatures, fake documents, the use of another company's SAPRA certificate without its knowledge, and companies that really don't have an operational base, that only exist on paper. If we learn from that, and if we take lessons from that to the DBSA contract, there, to me, seems powerful forces behind this contract, still behind the DBSA process.
So let's go back to the idea of collusive tendering. You have uncovered what you say are possible links between three of those companies. Now, if there are links and they're not declared, how does that actually affect the tender? Is it that three companies are working together, they know one of them's going to get it, and the other two frame their presentation and their offering with a specific view to make the third company look like the best bet? Have I understood it correctly?
Yes, exactly. Although we haven't seen the bid submissions from those companies for the DBSA tender, the DBSA's tender, and we have actually pired those documents. So that's exactly what I want to see. The connection that we found stems back to the IDT process. The company that clinched the DBSA contract, it's called BC Gas.
Right.
An official from that company attended a site briefing with the IDT, and on that site briefing register, which we have, he uses an email address of another company on OSG International. And if you read the story, I explain how all three of these companies connect.
And OSG is On-Site Gas Systems International, and they're bidding as well.
So yes, they are connected. They're not the same company. And now those directors of the company emphatically deny that there are any links between them. They say that they, parted ways decades ago. This official has been using this this OSG email address for decades now. But that still leaves questions in my mind about why you'd continue using the email address of another company, and if the IDT wants to communicate with him, they communicate through that address. So yes, that's exactly what our article goes into today.
Thank you so much, Zara Karim, News 24 investigative journalist. I mean, I would have thought, given what happened before with the IDT and the shambles and indeed scandal around the procurement of vital equipment, this is oxygen giving equipment crucial for our public hospitals. I would have thought that anything that suggested any impropriety should be dug up, and it shouldn't necessarily be the media that does the digging. But they will, and they do, and where it's important, we'll cover it. 29 minutes to 4. Right, let's get the very latest eyewitness news. Mbali Dlamini, good afternoon to you.
Thanks, John. A very good afternoon. President Cyril Ramaphosa says there's no denying that his government has made significant progress. Ramaphosa adds that the last 30 years of democracy have yielded a lot of positives which benefited the majority of South Africans. Ramaphosa made the remarks while replying to the two-day debate of his State of the Nation address this afternoon, where MPs from both houses picked apart his sona.
There can be no doubt that we have made progress. Even those that deny that we have made progress know that we have made progress.
He says while the last 3 decades have seen improvement in the lives of South Africans, state capture took its toll on state institutions.
Over the last 8 years, our country faced some of the most intractable and difficult challenges. But working together, we have undertaken a program of institutional renewal by stabilizing what was weakened through state capture.
Trade unions representing workers in Tshwane have reluctantly accepted a deal that will see the city's employees receive back pay owed to them from 4 years ago. In 2022, the municipality refused to implement a previously agreed upon 3.5% salary increase, citing the city's poor financial standing at the time. But at a media briefing today, the municipality announced the increases will finally be paid out in a staggered approach over the next 3 financial years. Thabiso Goba reports.
The Tshwane municipality says paying a once-off lump sum of the backdated salary increases would have set it back 1.5 billion rand. However, the municipality was able to negotiate the amount down to 1 billion rand, which will be paid over in 3 financial years. Regional chairperson for trade union Imatu Melita Baloi says compromises had to be made for the sake of progress.
We know not all our members are happy with this agreement, as the back pay excludes back pay on benefits and the once-off payment secured in 2021.
Regional chairperson for the SA Municipal Workers Union, Lehlonolo Maphatso.
We want to tell our members that this was the best possible option we can take.
The first tranche of backdated increases will be paid at the start of next month. Thabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
And a South Korean court has sentenced former President Yoon Suk Yeol to life behind bars. It follows his declaration of martial law in the country in 2024. Yoon abruptly declared martial law in a televised address, saying drastic measures were needed to root out anti-state forces. The announcement triggered widespread panic in a nation seen as a beacon of democracy in Asia. He will be jailed in South Korea's overcrowded prison system. It's not yet clear when he will be eligible for parole, although almost most inmates serving life terms can typically apply after 20 years. It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 29 and 30 degrees.
In Sandton, heading towards the M1, bumper-to-bumper traffic on Greyston Drive between Rivonia Road and Catherine Street. Look out for those faulty traffic lights along Corlett. That's in the Melrose area, approaching the M1. Also approaching Ethel Oaklands as well as Melrose Boulevard.
A top story in EWN, President Cyril Ramaphosa says there is no denying that his government has made significant progress over the years.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12. When we talk about longevity, you've been around and you've come back, you've done a TV show, you've come back into acting as well. But what I found interesting was these little breaks that you take. And I don't know if that's intentional or if there's work that comes and you just take it.
I am intentional about taking a break because I find that the industry can easily consume you. It can eat you alive. Because it consumes you, end up feeling like a consumable, you know, and lose the essence of who you are. Well, with me, you know. So it was always a choice that I would get out of it and come back in again.
The legendary TV presenter and businesswoman Zandi Nhlapo.
Clements Manyatela.
9 to 12 on 702.
Switching was so quick and easy. I'm happy with the premium that I'm paying now.
Outsurance business insurance clients know that it pays to switch. And did you know you could get a guaranteed premium for 12 months even if you claim? For electrical, tradesman services, and all other businesses. Get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Hey, Balis, where you been?
Gemstar, just got back from New York and London.
Nice. Must have been rough working from hotel rooms.
No, friend. I was at WeWork the whole time. Everything I needed.
Still blows my mind how big this place is.
I know, right? WeWork Rosebank is like 6 floors.
Private offices, hot desks. I love that you can choose.
Wi-Fi that never lets you down.
My team doesn't want to go home anymore.
WeWork, 24/7 co-working spaces. Book your free WeWork tour at Rosebank, Sandton or Cape Town. WeWork.co.za. Made for work, built for business.
For Mamotati and Kensani of Design News, a beautiful room starts with a rock-solid connection. Tell us what was slowing down your growth.
It would have to be slow network coverage.
Now, Telkom Business Fiber lets the team process large renders while the landline keeps supplier calls coming in.
Get Call Light Fiber from 655 Rand per month and unlimited VoIP 1 from 99 Rand per month. Call 10213 or click telkom.co.za. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
What do you call someone who thinks outside the box? Creative. But what about someone who codes the box, brands it, sells it, rebrands it, and leads a team that reinvents it? That's a Red and Yellow graduate. Apply now to Unleash Remarkable with Red and Yellow Creative School of Business, a member of Honoris United Universities.
When the Mahindra Fusion Fest 2026, powered by 702, brings you Z, Focalistic, Dali Wonga, Zoe Mudiga, and more. Fashion, art, and music will take center stage. And so can you by playing the daily Mahindra Fusion Fest quiz on 702 for up to 10,000 Rand and 2 tickets to the fest. WhatsApp the keyword Mahindra to 072-702-1702 with your name and ID number. Every day this week from 1 p.m., 702 afternoons with Rebukile Mabucha could call you back. The Mahindra Fusion Fest 2026, powered by 702. TCs and more on primemediaplus.com.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Oh God, the front seat, the passenger front seat belongs to a missus. Everyone must sit at the back. The mother-in-law must sit at the back. She must not even dream of sitting in front. Yes.
Okay. Very, very clear. Mother-in-laws do not dream of sitting in the front. But what about if it's your mother? That would be an interesting one. Booty says on our question, we're just having big debates about who sits in the front seat and does it have any meaning? Or is it just convenient? Booty says there's always a whole debate among us black people whether should my mom or my wife sit in front in a case where we are all traveling together. Booty, you've described the problem. You haven't shared with us your solution. How do you solve it, Booty? Maybe it's an ongoing debate and you haven't settled on one thing or another. Clayton says, I find this kind of childish. All I want is to reach the destination. I see no value added or subtracted in where one sits unless, of course, we're considering weight or some physical needs like disability. Keep those coming, please, on 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702 2023.
EWN sport.
Proteas women moved from T20 to the 50-over game against Pakistan, but there's a setback, I understand. Tolakele Mganga with the details.
Thanks so much, John. Illness will see the Proteas women all-rounder Marazan Gab miss their ODI series against Pakistan that's scheduled from the 22nd of February until the 1st of March. Gab experienced discomfort after completing her bowling spell during the third T20 on Monday, and following assessments, the medical team has opted to rest her as a precaution. Faye Cowling has been called up as cover, having impressed at last month's national training camp. To the T20 World Cup now, where Zimbabwe have finished top of Group B following a stunning 6-wicket victory over Sri Lanka. Zim progress unbeaten after completing a chase of 179 with 3 balls to spare. In the Bedway Premiership, the title race has gotten even tighter after Mamelodi Sundowns claimed a 2-1 win over log leaders Orlando Pirates. The Buccaneers are now 3 points clear at the top, while Miguel Cardoso's side have a game in hand.
It's not because of that now we are the best ones on the world, or we were before the worst. But one thing is clear, answer to your question, is that the boat doesn't sail from the wind from yesterday. We need always to bring new wind because the challenges are different. They were different on the weekend with MC Alger. They were different today, and they will be different on Saturday with TS Galaxy.
Leaders Arsenal blew a 2-0 lead to draw at rock-bottom Wolves as they missed out on a chance to go 7 points clear at the top of the Premier League standings. The Gunners' lead over Manchester City is now down to 5 points, with Pep Guardiola's side having a game in hand. While it was a damaging night for Mikel Arteta's men, that's in their quest for a first league title since 2004.
Yes, but if I ask them what we'll have to do now, what the game requires, they know it. But we weren't able to do it throughout the game, and it was in various sequences and a lot of times as well. So that's what we have to do better, but we didn't do it, and that's a reality.
And Real Madrid have sent UEFA all available evidence of an alleged racist insult aimed at Vinicius Jr. in a Champions League match against Benfica. They haven't elaborated on that evidence, but say they're actively collaborating with the investigation that was opened by UEFA following the unacceptable episodes of racism experienced during the clash. UEFA appointed a special investigator to gather evidence about what happened in Lisbon after Vinicius accused Benfica player Gianluca Prestini of calling him a monkey. Tolakele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
So, at 17 minutes to 4, the latest traffic news with Karabo Chali. Santon is getting busy.
Yeah, Santon bumper traffic. This is on Greyston Drive between Rivonia Road and Catherine Street. While in Blackheath, there's also heavy delays. This is on Bayers Nodia from Judges all the way to Jim Foshier due to an earlier accident. Look out for those faulty traffic lights along Corlett at the M1 as well as Ethel Oaklands. Traffic lights also not working in Polshof at Witkoppen and Main Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're now listening to 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
702 Drive, the politics of who sits in the front seat when you're going on it doesn't have to be a long trip, but, more than perhaps just going 10 blocks to a restaurant or to pick up some milk and a few eggs. Tolakele, you've got friendship circles that you've spoken about in other contexts. Is the front seat next to the driver any kind of, is there any hierarchy, any rules, or is it just first come, first sit?
First come, first sit for me. I will never fight for that passenger seat because it just comes with too much work. We've gone on girls' trips where we've driven, and because you are the passenger, you have to make sure you're up with the driver. Whatever they need, you have to give them the water. So I prefer to sit at the back so I can relax.
Okay, well then that must, I'm sure your value as a friend is already, stellar, but that must add, because there must be some people who want the front, eh?
I have one friend that actually doesn't mind being the passenger princess because literally she's one of those people. But also she's a great interactor where she'll make sure she's always keeping your spirits up. She's always asking you follow-up questions. But me, I want to relax on a trip. I want to take that occasional nap if we're taking a really long drive. That's why I just prefer to sit at the back. I will never fight anyone for the passenger seats.
So the one time I wanted to fight for the passenger seat was we were doing a family holiday to the Kruger Park. And there was a nephew, young nephew, came along who I was meeting for the first time. He was probably about 11. But when they arrived in Joburg, they'd come up from another South African city, and they were going to come and join us on the trip. We were told that he says he gets car sick, so he must at all times sit in the front. So I thought this was a complete hoax and got very irritated. Not so much on the open road, although I would have preferred to be in the front. But once you're in the park, I really wanted to be in the front. But that's where his car sickness was worst. If I'd known, I would have scooped up 10 sick bags on my nearest and earliest flight and placed them at a strategic point where he could use them. 702 Drive, give us a call on this issue or anything else that's on your mind. We are going in a moment to the UK. Plenty to talk about there. It's 14 minutes to 4.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Right. The one of the big stories coming out of the UK is the arrest of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, who at one time was Prince Andrew, but stripped of that title given everything that has surrounded him and his relationship with the convicted child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. He's been arrested at his home in Norfolk in the English countryside. What's it all about? Let's welcome to 702 Drive Adam Gilchrist, who you all know very well from his regular appearances on Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa. Adam, a very good afternoon, and thanks so much for giving us your time. I understand the matter being looked into is being described as allegations of misconduct in public office, but the article I'm looking at in The Guardian then says they are, quote, assessing allegations that the former prince shared sensitive information with Jeffrey Epstein when he was a UK trade envoy. I get the impression from this is nothing to do with the conduct in relation to the abuse of young women, but to do with state business. Have I got that right, or am I overreading those sentences?
No, absolutely right. There are indeed 9 UK police forces investigating various aspects of the Epstein files, some of which relate to Prince Andrew and others relate to other Brits. But this one particular one is the Thames Valley Police Force, which covers the Windsor area, has a royal crown on their badge. And Thames Valley Police basically turned up at Sandringham Estate, 6 cars. It seems a bit overkill, but anyway, 6 cars loaded with detectives, 6 unmarked vehicles, and have duly taken him in for questioning. And this is absolutely about his period when maybe it's forgotten worldwide, we try to forget it here a little bit, is that when Andrew was trade envoy / trade ambassador, traveling the world, basically pushing British interests, he was appointed by his mother. So it was the late Queen Elizabeth II who appointed him, but he acted on behalf of the government. So there's a slight sort of smudging of who's kind of responsible. And the accusation is, at this stage, denied previously by Andrew, but still it's a claim, that whilst he was a trade envoy, he passed information to Jeffrey Epstein, sensitive government information about deals being done and trips being made and so forth. It may not have been the kind of stuff that would absolutely rock everyone's boat, but to a millionaire financier like Jeffrey Epstein, it may well have been very useful and therefore absolutely against UK government interest.
I suppose if they'd been 2 people who were traders on a market, this would be insider trading, but this carries the additional sanction, presumably, that this was not even his information. He was acting on behalf of his country, ostensibly.
Absolutely that. And there's also no suggestion that the then Prince Andrew made any money himself out of it. But we know that there's this whole sort of sphere of influence and power and pressure that seems to operate where money doesn't necessarily change hands. But we also know that at various stages, his then ex-wife and still ex-wife, Sarah, Duchess of York, got some favourable loans from Jeffrey Epstein. And may just be that, they were being matey. But being matey, when it is any kind of misconduct and the giving of information that you ought not to be giving, of course, goes too far.
Did they handcuff him?
That's a good question. I don't think we've seen the pictures of the actual arrest.
Yes.
So I'm not sure. But they certainly arrived in force, and whether he likes it or not, he's got some questioning to do. And they're also searching two of his houses. So the one at Sandringham, where he now lives, and the previous one, the Royal Lodge at Windsor, where he used to live up until only a couple of weeks ago or so. Whether he was actually frog marched away, I can't quite see that picture. But this has caught everyone by surprise, I suggest, and including his older brother, the King, who has released a statement, or at least Buckingham Palace says on his behalf. King Charles learned with the deepest concern of Andrew's arrest. The law must take its course, which as statements go is terribly short, but then as royal statements go, actually gives us a little bit, doesn't it?
I want to go back to where you started us off, Adam, and you said that there are a number of investigations going on. Can I conclude from what you said that there are investigations into the conduct in his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein around the abuse of women that obviously brought all of this to light in the first place? Are the British police investigating that?
They are thought to be, yes, some of those claims are thought to be in those investigations, but all the police forces involved, understandably, are not going into any detail.
Yeah.
And as I say, 9 police forces, that's a lot of stuff. The one that came up very recently, only a couple of days ago, really, is that Stansted Airport to the north of London was being used by Jeffrey Epstein as a sort of staging post by which he would allegedly ship girls over to the United States. Now, whether there was any part to play there by the former prince or others, whether the airlines involved are in any way guilty, there have been some tabloid headlines, but I'm not sure we want to necessarily follow those because some of them may just be brushing against the side of legality. But yeah, you get the idea. I mean, we know Epstein was a fingers in pies kind of guy, and in a different way, but obviously still affiliated, so was the former Prince Andrew, a fingers in pies kind of guy. So the fact that they had some fingers in some of the same pies, which is creating an awful metaphor, I know. But anyway, it's not surprising, perhaps, therefore, that there is an investigation or several investigations that go further.
Adam, I mean, over time there have been debates in British society about the royal family. Is it a good thing? Should the country move towards being more of a republic and so on? First of all, is that conversation at any kind of pitch at the moment? And if it isn't, does it, perhaps bring it closer to the boil? And if it is on people's minds, does this tip the scales in any way?
I wonder, maybe in a few heads, but I haven't heard very much. I don't think there's a great deal of intensity about that question. It does come up every now and again, absolutely. And I think particularly at the passing of the late Queen, there was a thought, well, as the baton passes to King Charles, will it be a good monarch? What will happen next? Should we just skip straight on to King William? What will, et cetera, et cetera. That stuff seems to have gone away, partly, I think, because of the cancer treatments that both the King and the Princess of Wales, Catherine, have had to undergo. And you don't want to pick on people who aren't terribly well. And also because of the extraordinary work that the King continues to do, and so does Camilla. So to some extent, the Andrew stuff, and he's no longer, of course, technically a working royal and hasn't been for some time. He's very much a former royal in disgrace. He's had all his titles removed. It feels, although still a part of the royal family, it still feels a little bit like a sideshow now to those other deeper questions.
How do we sift through, and this is a wider question about the Epstein files, but I'm sure it's something you as a journalist with wide audiences, Adam, are dealing with. They're constant headlines, somebody named in the Epstein files, very different to the Epstein files reveal a link to the grotesque misconduct that Jeffrey Epstein went to jail for. How do we sift through that? Because there are a lot of English names that come up, but they come up presumably with different levels of significance and severity, I would have thought.
I think that's right, yeah. And of course, just having your name mentioned in one of these files, and is it 3 million? I lost count. 3 million files, is it? Or 3 million released at any rate.
Yes.
Yeah, just having your name in there doesn't mean that you are guilty. It's very tempting, isn't it, to do the guilty by association thing? But there are a lot of names that are mentioned. There are also some names that are redacted and we don't know. And I would suggest that there are plenty of them, just because, as I say, Epstein moved in a certain circle. And if you were also a millionaire or a billionaire or a businessman or a member of various governments, you probably came across him in some vague way at some stage, especially given how Epstein was matey with some of the sort of, as it were, American aristocracy. So, yeah, I don't know how much traction there is in seizing upon a name. But of course, I mean, with Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, there is a fair bit of seizing to do.
Absolutely.
Incidentally, by the way, it's his 66th birthday today. So happy birthday, former Prince Andrew. I mean, apart from being arrested and stuff, how's it going, mate?
Just a last question. He's going to need lawyers. Is this for his own account now that he's no longer a royal, or does the public somehow pick up the tab?
I would imagine it would start off being a family thing, but he absolutely could have an appointed lawyer. At this stage, of course, he hasn't been charged.
Yes.
So he doesn't necessarily need a lawyer. He might just have a few questions and then thank you very much. And given the nature of this crime, a white collar misconduct in office kind of crime, it probably isn't a danger to society. So therefore, the thought is that he will maybe be released on bail, but will walk out of this in some way. And maybe ultimately we'll get to have a birthday dinner, or maybe a few hours' time. Maybe that's too soon. We'll see. They'll have some hard questions for him, certainly.
Thanks so much, Adam Gilchrist, the very latest from the UK. Sorry, Adam, were you adding something?
No, I was just saying you're welcome. Pleasure to talk to you.
Sorry, I thought you were about to add in a point that I'd forgotten to ask you about. Adam Gilchrist, don't miss him with Bongani every week. Now, coming up on the show a little bit later, we're going to be looking at what's been going on at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Shadrach Sibiya, Deputy National Police Commissioner, General Shadrach Sibiya, I should call him to give him his correct title, still on the witness stand. The questions, from what I can gather, getting tighter and more focused as they move away from his prepared testimony and into areas of concern raised by other witnesses at Madlanga and possibly in Parliament as well. More on that a little bit later in the show. By the way, if you're listening in the UK and you're following this story about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and your thoughts on that, if you have them, do give us a ring, 072 702 1702.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
Why would only 4 of the 17 men have returned? Why not all 17?
They were not probably all of the 11 together being deployed into Ukraine. So it depends on a lot of logistical issues on the ground, to get people released. First of all, to identify them and to find them, and then to get them released officially back to Moscow, and then from Moscow via Dubai back to South Africa is a huge logistic nightmare.
Cobus Murray, independent defense analyst.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Stop and think. Will you survive the AI revolution or thrive? Regenesis students are thriving. 11 cutting-edge schools, 111 countries. World-class team of 1,111 with one mission, awakening your potential. Choose from law, business, technology, AI, health, economics, entrepreneurship, public management, skills academy, and digital Regenesis. Undergraduate, postgraduate, upskilling, customized corporate programs. The question isn't, can you afford to enroll? It's, can you afford not to? Enroll now. Regenesis.net. Achieve your dreams.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is streets ahead. Warrior Paints. Affordable, lasting luxury.
Naked people never skip leg day because naked people spend less time on insurance admin and more time at the gym. Go to naked.insure now. Get a car insurance quote in 90 seconds and get naked. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP.
Driving the conversation on 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Powered by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
This is EWN.
Police search for a firearm in Mugabe Hyde Park shooting, and King Charles says the law must be allowed to take its course. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Police are searching for the firearm that was used during a shooting incident at a house in Hyde Park where former Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe's son lives. 29-year-old Bellarmine Mugabe was seen handcuffed by police inside the luxury property earlier today. Police have now confirmed that Mugabe and a 24-year-old unidentified man have been taken in for questioning. This is in connection with the shooting of an employee at the house earlier today. Police spokesperson Dimakatso Nebuhulwi.
But the circumstances of the shooting at this moment, they are still a bit sketchy. And as you can see, we do have our police units that are here that are doing their preliminary investigations. We also have our dog unit that is currently searching in the house, searching for the firearm that is alleged to have been used to shoot the particular employee.
The governing coalition in Tshwane says the decision to pay municipal workers backdated salary increases has nothing to do with the upcoming local government elections. At a media briefing today, it was announced that more than 20,000 employees will be receiving backdated salary increases owed to them from the 2021-2022 financial year. In that year, the municipality, which was governed by a DA-led coalition, refused to implement a 3.5% increase, citing the city's cash-strapped position. Tshwane Mayor and Action SA member Dr. Nasipi Moya says when this current coalition took over in 2023, it made a commitment to pay the workers their increases.
As this MECO, we accepted the responsibility in full. We don't take parts that will get us votes. We said we want to stabilize this, to rebuild, in fact, this institution that was on its knees. And these are the parts and parcels of what it takes to rebuild an institution of our size.
City Manager Johan Metla has overseen both the decisions from the different coalitions. He says as the municipality's highest accounting officer, his office is not swayed by politics.
Accounting officer does not play politics, whether you agree with this person or whether I agree with that person. I am employed by the council of the city of Tshwane. And if the council adopts a budget, then I follow and I implement that budget. That is my job. This council, for example, adopted a funded budget. And that funded budget included all of these matters that we have conversed about.
In the courts now, the state has raised a conflict of interest concern in the corruption case against former Public Enterprises Minister Malusi Gigaba. The prosecutor told the court that Gigaba's instructing attorney is also representing a key state witness that authorities have been pursuing for over a year. Gigaba, along with 5 other accused, appeared in the Johannesburg High Court today. After that case was transferred from the Commercial Crimes Court in Palm Ridge, they face charges of fraud, corruption and money laundering with allegations that they manipulated tender processes at Transnet. Dimakatso Leshoro has more.
The state argues that the attorney cannot represent both an accused and a possible state witness in the same matter, describing it as a clear conflict of interest. Advocate Manilal told the court that despite raising the issue in writing last November and requesting that instructing attorneys Ian Levitt choose between the two clients, it has received no response and wants the court to determine the matter to safeguard the integrity of the proceedings. But the judge has left it to the legal teams to resolve this by the next appearance in May. Malusi Gigaba, along with Anoj Singh, Brian Malefesi Abongakama and Tamsan Ngajiane, are facing varying charges of corruption and money laundering arising from Transnet's locomotive procurement program between 2010 and 2014. Dimakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg High Court.
We take you now to a story which contains some disturbing details of child abuse. The woman, convicted of murdering and raping her boyfriend's 4-year-old daughter, will return to the Joburg High Court for mitigation of sentence tomorrow. Earlier today, the state poked holes in the testimony of Amberly Hughes. The 26-year-old has been convicted of the murder and sexual assault of Nada Jane Chalita, her ex-boyfriend's daughter. Prosecutor Rolene Barnard questioned Hughes today about her claims that Chalita was not being taken care of while the evidence available shows otherwise.
You are so concerned about Nada that you took her under your wing. Yes. So that doesn't really correlate with what you are saying in your messages to Mr. Chalita. Yes, and in all the messages that the two of you exchanged, you complimented him on being a good father. Am I correct? Which is contradictory to your testimony.
But Hughes still maintained that the child was neglected.
I would compliment him just because he was doing everything by himself. Although he wasn't doing a good job at it, he was by himself. He was a single father.
And in the UK, King Charles has released a statement reacting to the arrest of former Prince Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. The King says he learned of the development with sadness, but the law must be allowed to take its course. The former prince was arrested today on suspicion of misconduct in public office. The arrest comes after police confirmed they were assessing a complaint over the alleged sharing of confidential material by the former prince with late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein died by suicide in 2019 in the United States while in custody awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. Gold is trading at $4,985.71 an ounce. The rand is at 16.19 to the dollar, 21.80 to the pound, 19.05 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $70.35 a barrel.
In Rand Park Ridge, there's an accident scene on Bears No Deer. This is approaching Jim for sure, causing about a 30-minute delay all the way from Judges heading into Alex. There's also bumper traffic on the N3 southbound between the Between Interchange and London Road. In Bryanston, traffic sluggish. N1 south from Rivonia Road to Winnie Mandela Drive.
In your sport, Madlanga ruled out of the ODI series against Pakistan due to illness. Betway Premiership title race heats up as Mamelodi Sundowns claim a crucial win over Orlando Pirates. And Arsenal squander 2-goal lead as Wolves secure late draw.
A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng tomorrow with isolated afternoon showers expected. Johannesburg drops to overnight lows of 17 degrees, peaking at 27. Pretoria 18 and 30, and Vereeniging 16 and 30 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: police are searching for the firearm that was used during a shooting incident at a house in Hyde Park, where former Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe's son is currently living.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 8 minutes past 4. Thanks for joining us on this Thursday. We've got plenty of interesting and important stuff to come. Coming up on the program, we're going to be looking at what's going on at the Madlanga Commission. That's coming away after 5. Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sabir he won't be joining us. He's in the Madlanga Commission. We'll analyse what questions he's been asked and how he's done with the answers in the final hour of the show. Coming up in a moment, 4 of the South Africans who were lured to Russia and then abducted, forcibly conscripted to fight for Russia in that country's army in the front line of the war against Ukraine have returned home to South Africa. What are they saying? What's their state of mind? What do they plan to do next? We'll talk to Thulani Mahlangu, who is among the families affected. He's acting as their general spokesperson. Brain of 702 at about 4:45, at 10 to 5, our weekly feature, Your House, Your Home. Thinking of buying a repossessed property? Are they really a bargain? More on that with Rowan Terry, who joins us from the TPN Credit Bureau. We've been talking about front seat wars, if indeed they exist in your car or in your life. Who gets to sit in the passenger seat? alongside the driver, and why? And does that sometimes put relationships to the test? We've had a few of you sending us your comments.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. For me, the issue of who sits in the passenger seat is no brainer. My wife. We are one. She's my ride or die. Unless my mom has special needs. Maybe she uses crutches and she has sores and stuff. Then special situations. And it also depends how many people are there. You know, if she has a condition and there are people sitting with her at the back, obviously she can't be squashed and all of that, then my wife would take one for the team just for that ride.
Good afternoon, John. This is Sid. In the case of Mugabe's son, even if he's under diplomatic immunity, our country can hold him in custody and request Zimbabwe to waive his diplomatic immunity. That way he's got no choice. And if Zimbabwe refuses to waive his diplomatic immunity, we can still threaten them with some economic action or anything. We are more powerful than Zimbabwe. So they have an option. It's either they waive his diplomatic immunity or our country can take some form of economic action or any form of action against Zimbabwe that will put them in jeopardy. So he's got nowhere else to go. He's not gonna get away with it unless our government slips up.
Yeah, thank you. I have to say, though, the list of times when South Africa has put effective pressure on Zimbabwe to do the right thing is a fairly short one over many, many decades. Back to the cars. Tiffany says, respect for parents should always take precedence over respect for kids. In relation to your parents, your spouse is a kid. If it matters to them, let the parents sit up front. Chiz says, I'm a small-bodied individual. My husband and I own a small car. I find myself occasionally sitting at the back to allow the other big people the comfort of the front seat. Otherwise, I consider couples should sit together so we can whisper to make decisions together. 12 minutes past 4, we'll get into that story about the 4 people mercifully returned from Russia in a moment. But first, let's just catch up with what's happening on the traffic.
EWN Traffic.
I meant to say in the traffic. Rand Park Ridge is our focus. Karabo.
Yeah, there's an accident scene there on Peyers Nordia Jim Fushia. This is causing about a 30-minute delay as you come out of Blackheath all the way from Judges Avenue. So if you are leaving Cresta heading towards Rand Park Ridge, avoid Peyers Nordia at all costs. Also traveling towards Alex, traffic is already heavily backed up on the N3 southbound from the Betweens Change to London Road. Bryanston, traveling towards Four Ways, traffic sluggish. N1 southbound from Rivonia Road to Winnie Mandela Drive. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Stay with 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
What a shocking story, hey? The mother in the family dies of a heart condition. The grieving daughter and the aunt approach a prophet to try and figure out, was there some foul play in the mother's death? The prophet says it's a family member who did it. They then go and find this Sangoma who points at the father. They try to poison the father. That doesn't work. So the daughter hires hitmen. She is charged. The hitmen are charged. So is the Sangoma. Isn't that a shocking story?
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
In business, the right connections change everything. It's the stability you need for that once-in-a-lifetime virtual pitch, the lightning-fast speeds that keep you ahead of deadlines, and the consistent high-quality signal your teams rely on every day. Because when your connectivity works seamlessly, so does your business. Power your workday with fast, reliable fiber from OpenServe, built to keep your operations running at full speed. Visit openserve.co.za today to learn more. T's and C's apply.
Back to side, back to business, back to getting the job done the way you like it. Join us from the 22nd of January to the 1st of March for the Chamberlain Back to Business promotion and get excited by incredible offers. From paint and power tools to in-store board cutting and edging, you'll have everything you need to start your year off the right way. Plus, with our wide range of rugged sideware, you'll be comfortable doing it too. Chamberlain, famous for hardware since 1903.
Aren't you tired of hearing how tough every bucky is? Tough this, tougher that, and being tougherer. But what about a bucky that's actually evolved? Confidence when you need it. Modern comfort because you deserve it. And next-gen tech that's, well, just smarter. Introducing the Chang'an Hunter range from only 5,299 Rand per month. Test drive SA's Better Balanced Bucky today. T's and C's apply.
Chang'an, driven to evolve.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Inflation seems to be behaving itself quite nicely. Are you expecting it to stay roughly in this range for most of the year?
We think that the number will remain close to 3%. Obviously, there's still shocks in the system, biosecurity issues, oil price, for example. But we're hopeful that 3% will be around about the range that we see over the year.
Koketso Mano is a senior economist.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show, Stephen Curtis, is brought to you by ABSA CIB. Invested in your story because your story matters. ABSA is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
17 minutes past 4. Let's focus now on the good news, at least partially, that 4 South African men who were abducted to fight for Russia, having gone to that country, been taken to that country in the belief they were getting security training that would launch them into some kind of stable work life. They found themselves on the front line of Russia's war against Ukraine. 4 of them are back, but there are at least 13 others still stranded in Ukraine. Let's get some background on this then from Thulani Mahlangu. He himself and his family have been affected, but he speaks on behalf of all the families caught up in this travesty. Mr. Mahlangu, welcome and thanks very much for your time. I don't know what you can tell us about how those 4 managed to get back, and crucially, is that a route that the other men can follow to get themselves home as well? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me and the listeners. Those guys from Ukraine to Moscow, they used their own monies to get transport to Moscow. And it's where they were helped from Moscow to come to South Africa. The rest of the members, they are still in Ukraine. They were told that they'll organize transport to come and pick them up to Moscow.
So they had to use their own money to get from the front line to Moscow. Who secured their release from the Russian army? I mean, was there a process that needed to be followed there? And did officials in that country, or indeed officials from South Africa, get involved in that?
Yes, the president was involved, and then with the president of Russia. Mm-hmm. So they were removed from the front line, and then they were out of combat. They are in their civilian clothes. They are in a safe place where there is no war.
Yes.
But what the Russians are doing, they said they are organizing transport for them from Ukraine to Moscow. So these four who managed to come this side, they felt that they are going to wait for a long time.
Right.
Because they are longing home, and then they use their own money to travel from Ukraine to Moscow.
Okay, because they were concerned they'd been kept for a long time. Can I then draw the conclusion, Mr. Mahlangu, from what you've just said, that the other 13, and you'll tell me if 13 is the correct number, but the other people who are still stuck there, are at least away from the war zone? Are they in a safer part of Russia at least?
Yes, they are in the safer part of Ukraine. They're still in Ukraine,
Okay.
but on the safer part of Ukraine. And then what's happening is that they are no more in combat. And after the President Putin announced that all South Africans must go back home, they were not only the 17th. There are many of them who are that side, South
Really?
Africans, who are in Russia.
Do you have any idea of the number? I mean, I don't expect an exact number, but are we talking a few hundred, 100? What's your impression?
It can be 100 because I understand from the war zone to where they are. I understand the bus was full.
Yes. Wow.
Yes.
I was unaware of that. And do you know if the others? I don't know what feedback you're getting from people in the family network, Mr. Madlanga, but you know if those people were also tricked and abducted the way your group was, or did they go there willingly?
Some I understand they went there willingly, but some they were tricked as well.
So this thing is bigger than just the families that we know.
Yes.
The four people who have come back, what can you tell us about them? They must be deeply shaken by what they've gone through, but what can you share about how they're feeling at the moment?
Now they are very much grateful because they are home.
Yes.
Because where were they? It was between life and death. Anytime they could die. But now they feel that they are safe because they were with the police. And from the time when they landed into South Africa until late last night.
Some of the people who were involved, not necessarily in trafficking, because that's what it is, these four people, but possibly doing that to other people. Do the four, and do you expect the others when they get back to have any concerns about their safety in South Africa, given that they've had dealings with people who are now charged with crime?
Yes. People, yesterday we had some threats that those guys, they won't make it home. So we heard that some of the traffickers have said that these people, they won't make it to OR Tambo.
Yes.
So the police were informed, and then the intelligence examined whatever information which they received, and then they made sure that they are safe.
But they have been subject to some threats. Are the police on top of that, or are the families having to make their own arrangements?
No, the police are on top of it. Even the office of the minister is on top of that.
Well, that's very good to hear. Do you have any insight, Mr. Madlanga, as to when the others will be coming back? Because I don't know how far the journey is from where they are in Ukraine to Moscow, but I would assume it's quite a distance.
Yes, we were trying to contact the commanders that side to go there because they're still with the commanders. We couldn't get all of these particular commanders. We wanted to know what is the condition, what is the status quo. Are they still coming today or what's happening? So we couldn't find them. And then we managed to get those guys who are trapped that side.
Yes.
And we took their numbers and then gave it to DECO members who are at that side so that they can communicate with them and communicate with their commanders as well because they're with them. So we didn't get any feedback till now. But as soon as there is any movement, we will know.
Do you know if everybody who went then was tricked into going to Russia and joining the army has made it back? Do we know if anyone was killed or so severely injured that they can't travel?
I know of two who were injured.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and then one is on the wheelchair. One, I think, is still in hospital.
Still in hospital in Ukraine?
In Russia now.
In Russia now. So already there have been casualties. Just a final question. The four men who've come back and possibly the others when they get back, Do they plan to lay charges, or has that process already begun?
Because there was a case which was open. The police collected their statements, and then they'll proceed with their investigation.
And I did say last question, but I do have one more. I mean, it's good to know that the process is in motion, but why do you think it took so long? Because this appeared already last year to be a very clear-cut issue of trafficking and of abuse.
The thing is that we started knocking at wrong doors, maybe.
Yes,
but
yes.
The Russian people told us that we are not going to make it without the intervention of the president.
Right.
And then the time when we wanted to engage with the president, it was the time of G20. So we couldn't get access to the office of the president. But now, after our interview last week, the president responded very much swiftly. Even before we ended up the interview, the president has already called President Putin that side.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Tulani Madlanga, and our best wishes to the men who've come back, but also to the families who still wait for their loved ones to return. 26 minutes past 4.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Okay, 702 Drive. I think it's soon going to be time for business. Just to tell you the little bit later in the show, we're going to be looking at repossessed properties. They seem like a bargain, but are they really? In our weekly feature, Your House, Your Home, Rowan Terry joins us from the TPN Credit Bureau with his take on this issue.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, a very good afternoon to you.
Afternoon to you, John. Quite a lot of corporate news out today, but all of that, as so often on markets, sort of overshadowed by global events. So the Brent crude's gone past $70, actually past $71 a barrel. That, I think, I'm sure, is because of the suggestions there might be some kind of raid on Tehran by the US, military build-up in that area, as we know. And then we've seen announcements from Blue Label, City Lodge, Goldfields, etc. The JSE All Share down 0.83%, 121,499 points. Financials down 0.63%. Industrials down 0.31%. Resources down 1.73% on the day. Gold still below $5,000 an ounce. Platinum roughly where it was yesterday. Sasol up by nearly 9%, John, and that I'm sure partly is because of the higher oil prices. Mondi had a statement out today. They're up 3.47%. Tungela up 2.37%. And WBHO, Wilson Bailey Homes Ofcon, they're up 1.75%. Naspen's up 1.6%. Goldfields joining other miners in reporting extraordinary results today. Headline earnings per share more than double last year. Revenue up by more than 67%. It's returning around $1.7 billion to shareholders through dividends and share buybacks. The Blue Label Unlimited Group, they used to own Cell C, they don't anymore. They say their basic earnings per share for the 6 months to the end of November will be down by more than 100%, but that's because of the unbundling of Cell C, which is now listed independently. And Kumba Iron Ore reporting its profits up by nearly 20%. Sales were up by 2%, partly because of a better performance from Transnet. John, how interesting is this if you're into iron ore? There's a benchmark export price, right? In other words, a price at which most iron ore of that quality is sold. They're getting 12% above that because they're iron ore. Because, you know, it's from the Northern Cape, therefore it's very, very good. So basically they're able to get quite high prices, which is quite something. City Lodge, so the hotel group. Do you remember last year we were hearing about higher occupancy rates, particularly in November, the G20, the B20 before it. So City Lodge reporting their adjusted headline earnings up by 27% to 139 million rand. But their group occupancy rate was actually up 4.2% over the year. I mean, that's quite a big increase at 61.6%. So the accommodation market, it seems, if you look at all of the trends that we're seeing, really does seem to be beginning to move, and it's not just in Cape Town. Their revenue up by 12%. Sibanye is down 4.27%. Kumba, despite what I thought was a decent report, they're down nearly 4%. DRD Gold is down 3.86%. Implats is down 3.1%. And then Telkom and MTN, interesting, both down by around 3%, while Vodacom is down by over 2%. And the strong results from Goldfields, not enough to save them from dropping by 2%, but I think everybody knew what their results would kind of be. In the US, stock index futures as they open dipped slightly. That's because technology stocks are slipping. There was also a conservative outlook from Walmart, and that's dampened sentiment. I think there is also a bit of concern about what's happening in off Iran, John, and suggestions from the US, and sort of a little bit of almost war talk from the press secretary in the US yesterday.
Right.
The gold price, $4,986.07, platinum $2,068.62, and Brent crude $71.53, which I'm sure is because of Iran. Don't forget, we are in an oversupply market at the moment, so it should be much lower than that. The rand to the dollar weakening, John, 16.20 to the euro, 19.05 to the British pound, 21.80. Stephen Crotus, EWN Business.
Okay, Stephen back with more business news a little bit later in the show. 54 minutes time. Let's get the latest breaking news now with Mbali Dlamini. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. A very good afternoon. Trade unions representing workers in Tshwane have reluctantly accepted a deal that will see the city's employees receive back pay owed to them from 4 years ago. In 2022, the municipality refused to implement a previously agreed upon 3.5% salary increase, citing the city's poor financial standing at the time. But at a media briefing today, the municipality announced the increases will finally be paid out in a staggered approach over the next 3 financial years. Thabiso Koba reports.
The Tshwane municipality says paying a once-off lump sum of the backdated salary increases would have set it back 1.5 billion rand. However, the municipality was able to negotiate the amount down to 1 billion rand, which will be paid over in 3 financial years. Regional chairperson for trade union Imatu Melita Baloi says compromises had to be made for the sake of progress.
We know not all our members are happy with this agreement, as the back pay excludes back pay on benefits and the once-off payment secured in 2021.
Regional chairperson for the SA Municipal Workers Union, Leflonolo Mapatso.
We want to tell our members that this was the best possible option we can take.
The first tranche of backdated increases will be paid at the start of next month. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
Equal Education says deploying the army to gang-riddled areas is not enough to protect young people from gangsterism. The lobby group says government should initiate long-term measures in order to safeguard learners within the country's education system. The SANDF will be deployed to gang and crime-ridden areas in the Western Cape, Gauteng and the Eastern Cape within the next week. Carlo Peterson has more.
Equal Education researcher Yolisa Piliso says young people who drop out of school become prone to joining gangs.
So it is important that when learners are already in schools, the Western Cape government, together with the national government, should play enough role in ensuring that learners continue to be in the system to be safeguarded.
Piliso says the deployment of the SANDF to gang and crime hotspots will only offer learners and teachers short-term relief.
The numbers of crime may matter, and maybe all of that may decrease only at the time in which the army is being deployed. But that is not a sustainable, it's not also a long-term solution.
Piliso says learners need strengthened in-school support systems and better policing in gang-infested areas. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
And police are investigating the discovery of a decomposed female body in Hout Bay, Cape Town. Officers have registered a case of murder and say the identity of the deceased is yet to be determined. But Deputy Chairperson of the Hout Bay Community Policing Forum, Roscoe Jakins, says that the mother of missing 17-year-old Amina Swano has now submitted DNA samples. He says the process to determine whether it is her daughter is now underway. The 17-year-old girl went missing on Valentine's Day.
Due to the condition in which the body was found, formal identification is still pending. The Hout Bay CPF wishes to urge community members to refrain from speculation, gossip, and sharing unverified information, particularly on social media. Such actions causes unnecessary distress to families and may compromise the investigation.
A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with isolated afternoon showers expected. Lows of between 16 and 18 degrees and highs of between 27 and 30.
Rand Park Ridge accident seen on Bayers Naudé near Jim Fisher. This is causing about an hour delay all the way from Judges heading Towards Alex, traffic remains heavily backed up on the N3 southbound from the Butlu interchange to London Road, and in Edenville heading into Bedfordview. Slow-moving traffic. This is on the R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Gilulis interchange.
A top story in EWN, trade unions representing workers in Tshwane have reluctantly accepted a deal that will see the city's employees receive back pay owed to them from 4 years ago.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
We have a whole generation that experienced apartheid that at some point is going to be gone. There are many stories that have already been lost from individual experiences. But what can every individual that is listening do to help in preserving our African heritage?
If we take a bit of time to learn and to value, what that will mean is that the history and the past will not only be left in the past, but basically comes to the present and inform our present choices.
Dr. Pella, Executive Director of the African World Heritage Fund.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
Stop and think. Will you survive the AI revolution or thrive? Regenesis students are thriving. 11 cutting-edge schools, 111 countries. World-class team of 1,111 with one mission, awakening your potential. Choose from law, business, technology, AI, health, economics, entrepreneurship, Public Management, Skills Academy, and Digital Regenesis. Undergraduate, postgraduate, upskilling, customized corporate programs. The question isn't, can you afford to enroll? It's, can you afford not to? Enroll now. Regenesis.net. Achieve your dreams.
Naked people smell expensive because naked people spend less money on insurance premiums and more money on fancy French colognes with names they can't pronounce. With Naked, you can cover your car, home, and stuff in seconds. And because it's all online, it also costs less. Go to naked.insure now, get a car insurance quote in 90 seconds, and start smelling like naked people. Naked Financial Technology is an authorized FSP. Get naked.
Different sounds, different worlds.
Different artistic expressions, music, art, and fashion collide. Are you coming? Let's go to the place where the beat drops, the fashion pops, and the art rocks.
We're talking Focalistic, Daliwonga, Mafigi Zolo, Kurt Darren, Matera Doughboy, Zoe Mudicha, Claire Johnston from Mango Groove, the Tswani Gospel Choir, and more. Mahindra Fusion Fest, Saturday 7th March, Sunbet Arena. Tickets on Ticketmaster now. See you there. 702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. So, at home, growing up, the eldest sat in front, whether my dad or my mom were driving. So that's how that went. So if my eldest sister wasn't there, then the second born would sit in front, etc. And then in my household, two things. My children were not allowed to sit in front until they got to a certain age, because I always used to tell them that in case of an accident, the airbag could injure them. But now that they're both a bit older, my son is huge, like big boy. So he has to sit in front. He doesn't fit at the back. And so my daughter, who's younger, accepts that.
Well, as per statistics, the back seat is much safer than the front seat, as long as the people are buckled in the back. So, put mother-in-law in the front seats, rather.
Sitting in the front passenger seat is very overrated anyway, so I don't get the fuss. Just sit in the back. That's where all the dignitaries prefer sitting anyway. So if that mother or mother-in-law is that important, then back seat. Cheers.
Good afternoon to the Drive Show team. Tate John, something just a little bit disturbing for me here. For them to be tricked, why are we not asking or sharing who tricked them? I think there's been news in the media about a certain former president and his family that, they got involved and they human traffic people to Russia for such a purpose as this. Why are we not delving into this? I mean, I understand that the agency is to get these people back home, but at the same time,
why are we not talking about the trickery and starting a discussion around what's going to happen to the people involved in this trafficking of people? Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, look, there are some court cases underway. I don't think they cover everyone who's involved in everything that's happened. But the matter is in court. I suspect there's more to come. But fair point, we'll look into that. 20 minutes now to 5 o'clock. Let's get the latest sport.
EWN Sport.
So, Tola Kelly, the big match out at the FNB Stadium yesterday. What are the coaches saying, particularly the coach of Pirates?
Well, John, their 14-match unbeaten run across all competition has come to an end following their 2-1 loss to Mamelodi Sundowns in the Betway Premiership. It's just their third defeat of the campaign and sees they remain top of the standings as the Brazilians close the gap at the top, down to 3 points, and they have a game in hand. Despite the defeat, Arislan Madou believes there are positives they can take from the clash as they seek to end Sundowns' championship reign.
We imbalanced them in the second half. We put them a lot of trouble. Of course, you can see that Mamelodi Sundowns have experience as well of managing the games, and you can feel that. But in our side, I don't feel that today Mamelodi Sundowns were superior to Pirates. I think each team has his half. Mamelodi Sundowns had his half in the first half, and we had the second half for us.
Leicester City have appealed against a decision by the English Football League to deduct them 6 points for breaching financial rules. The sanction was imposed earlier this month and saw them drop down to 20th in the championship, only outside the relegation zone on goal difference. Leicester were charged by the Premier League in May for breaching profit and sustainability rules. That's in the 3 years up to 2023 until 2024. Over to the Six Nations, where Ireland head coach Andy Farrell has dropped Sam Pendergast for this weekend's clash against England as he makes 4 changes to the team that beat Italy. England go into the clash desperate for victory. That's after Joe Hayes and his teammates suffered a surprise defeat to Scotland, who brought an end to their 13-game unbeaten run.
Sometimes there can be it can be a blessing in disguise, really. It can give you that sense of reality that, when you're winning every week, you don't see these. You may review the game, but you might not perceive it as like this is a big issue or whatever, those things like that. And I think it just allows you to look at it from a different perspective. This is what we need to change or fix or whatever. And it's not a huge amount to change or fix. It's just we needed to nail our core principles of our game and stuff like that.
The Seattle Seahawks have officially been put up for sale 10 days after winning the Super Bowl. It was reported before Super Bowl 60 that discussions had taken place over selling the Seahawks, who went on to beat the New England Patriots to become NFL champions for just the second time. And the Australian MotoGP will move to a street circuit in Adelaide next year as Phillip Island's near 3-decade-long hosting run comes to an end. The South Australian state government signed a 6-year agreement with the first race set to take place in November 2027. Unlike Formula One, MotoGP has never held a street race, primarily due to safety concerns. Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
At 18 minutes to 5, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by Cars.coza. Let's find what moves you. Karabo Charlie, problems shifted to Rand Park Ridge. What's going on there?
Well, we have that accident scene there. This is on Beyers Nordia at Jim Forsham, and it's already causing about an hour delay all the way from Judges. So if you're leaving the Cresta Blackheath area, heading towards Rand Park Ridge, avoid Beyers Nordia at all costs. Also heading into Alexandra, that's coming from Midrand. Traffic remains heavily backed up on the N3 southbound from the Between Interchange to London Road. Edenvale, there's slow-moving traffic. R24 westbound, that's travelling into Bedford View from Edenvale Road to the Kilulis Interchange. And in Bryanston, there's slow-moving traffic. N1 southbound, that's heading towards four ways between the Between Interchange and Winnie Mandela Drive. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
It's Carl de Koza here in another Carl de Koza production starring Carl de Koza and Cars.coza. In this country, we don't just drive cars, we love cars. So slide into our DMs on WhatsApp and let's find what moves you.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
On the Midday Report, every day from 12 to 1 p.m, we will bring you breaking news from the scene as it unfolds with newsmakers, reporters, commentators, experts and analysts. We'll explain the stories of the day, give you context for why they are important and what they mean for you. It is everything you need to know in 1 hour, from news to global events, business, sports, science, books and always some good news too. Appointment listening every day at 12 with the Midday Report.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Growing a business is a 24/7 job. In fact, 55% of small business owners say they can never switch off. Usually it's personal moments like missed date nights and long overdue holidays that pay the price. Xero wants to help you reclaim one back with an emotional tax return. To enter, share a moment you missed while growing your business on Instagram stories and tag @Xero, spelled with an X. Competition ends 22 March. T's and C's apply.
Zandi Nhlapo's Hive promo agency was growing fast, but the paperwork was catching up. What were you up against?
Challenges that were slowing down my growth was finding clients as well as organizing the promoter application.
But with Yep for online visibility and Zoho to manage her database, she has turned chaos into a well-honeyed hive.
Get Yep by Telkom Business from 249 Rand per month and Zoho from only 1,260 Rand annually. Call 10213 or check telkom.co.za. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
The pain of losing a loved one is never easy. It will leave you feeling overwhelmed. At Clientele, we understand that burying loved ones with dignity truly matters. Our funeral plans pay out cash within just 24 hours and you receive 200 Rand airtime when you claim to make those important calls. Plus, we cover up to 13 people on one plan. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
When the brightest brains collide in the biggest general knowledge quiz in Gauteng, it's time for the Brain of 702.
It's time to put your brilliance on display in the Brain of 702. Prove your mental might for your chance to win a share of 130,000 Rand in cash. And of course, there's the highly coveted title of the Brain of 702. You could win 1,500 Rand in this round and another 1,500 if you win tomorrow on Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa. The Brain of 702, your brain, our stage. Are you ready to step into the spotlight? The winner of this round gets 1,500 Rand and will be crowned the Brain of the Day and go on to play again tomorrow and possibly through the rest of the week, where on Friday afternoon they stand to win 10,000 Rand as the weekly Brain of 702. Ultimately, you could go on to win a further 30,000 Rand should you be declared the Brain of 702. To be a part of the action, register on primemediaplus.com and we could call to put you through our qualifier. Right, we have a competition. We have two contestants. First up is Henny du Plessis. He won with us yesterday on 702 Drive. He won again this morning with Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa, picking up 7 points, and he's back with us again on the line from Rudaput. Henny, welcome and the best of luck to you.
Thank you, John.
Joining us from Wilgehevel, playing for the first time, Thabo Madlanga. Hope you're well, and the very best of luck to you as well.
Thanks, John.
Okay, so Henny in Rudaput plays Thabo in Wilgehevel. Both of you need to know what the rules are. They are simple. Here they are. You have 60 seconds to answer 15 questions. The contestant who gets the most answers correct is the winner. If scores are equal, we will play sudden death. Remember, when I ask you to spell a word, do spell that word. If you pass, I'll spell it anyway, and you won't save yourself any time. And please be as prompt as you can with your answers. Rules are simple. We're ready to go. Henny du Plessis, your time starts now.
3, 2, 1.
Spell the word newborn.
Newborn.
Correct. Complete the saying, cut your what to spite your face?
Nose.
Correct. True or false? E is the most common letter in the English alphabet.
True.
Correct. In which province is the Isimangaliso Wetland Park?
Mpumalanga.
KZN, the astronomer Galileo Galilei was a citizen of which country?
Italy.
Correct. Complete the title of the Michael J. Fox movie, Back to the What?
Future.
Correct. True or false? Paella is the national dish of Serbia.
False.
Correct. In maths, how many sides does a decagon have?
10.
Correct. Which city is the capital of Finland?
Helsinki.
Correct. In which province are the towns Christiana and Coligny?
Northwest.
Correct. In which sport are Lonsdale belts awarded to champions?
Too late.
Yeah, too late. The answer would have been boxing. But Henny, you've built on what you did this morning, 2 points better, and you have scored yourself 9 points. So it's a strong total, but we have in Thabo Madlanga, a strong and determined candidate who's going to do his level best to see what he can do to knock off that score. At very least, get himself a chance to play sudden death. But Thabo, here we go. Let's see what you got. Your time starts now.
3, 2, 1.
Spell the word nemesis.
Nemenis.
Complete the saying. Curiosity killed the what?
Cat.
Correct. True or false? Z is the least common letter in the English alphabet.
True.
Correct. In which province is the Mapungubwe cultural landscape?
Limpopo.
Correct. The painter Pablo Picasso was a citizen of which country?
Italy.
Spain. Complete the title of the Robin Williams movie, Goodwill what?
Whatever.
Hunting. True or false? Wiener Schnitzel is the national dish of Belgium.
True.
False. In maths, how many sides does a nonagon have?
9.
Correct. Which city is the capital of Denmark?
Zurich.
Copenhagen. In which province are the towns Koppies and Tromsburg?
Free State.
Correct. In which sport is a green jacket awarded to the champion? Okay, I heard golf before. I heard the crashing sound. Thabo, you fought it out right till the end, got your last answer in, but I'm afraid to say you fell just 2 answers short.
Yeah.
You came up, in fact, with a score of 6. But well done, Thabo. You put up a great show. And congratulations, Henny Duplessis. You are our reigning brain and the brain of the day. You've won 1,500 Rand thanks to 702. And you will play again with Bongani Bingwa tomorrow on 702 Breakfast. If you're still standing after that round, well, you'll be with us again and you will be the brain of the day, still looking to continue the battle for brilliance. Now, for a chance to prove your mental might and to win your share of 130,000 Rand, visit primemediaplus.com to register. You could become the brain of 702 and walk away with the ultimate general knowledge prize. 702, it's 8 minutes to 5.
You're now listening to 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Well, normally at this time on a Thursday, we do what we call Your House, Your Home. There have been a couple of Thursdays, I think, in this month of February because of brain. If we go to sudden death, we don't always get a chance to do Your House, Your Home. But today we are going to do exactly that. Now, you may recall last week we had a conversation with MoneyWeb journalist Kieran Ryan talking about a class action lawsuit, all of that revolving around repossessed properties and where the banks have been fair and indeed followed the law as closely as they should in dealing with those repo houses. We're not going to talk about that now. If you missed it, please have a listen to our interview on primemediaplus.com. What we are going to talk about, though, is the perception out there that repossessed properties represent a bargain and a very good way of getting a toe, maybe 5 toes or even a foot into the property market. But is that really the case? Or are there some things that you need to look out for? My guest is Rowan Terry. He's Senior Legal Counsel at TPN Credit Bureau. Mr. Terry, welcome and thanks very much for your time. Repossessed houses, can we generalize and say good idea or bad idea? Or are there a whole lot of sub-questions that we need to answer in order for the conclusion to be accurate?
Good afternoon, John. Thank you so much for having me. So repossessed properties is definitely it makes the property industry more accessible. It's a wonderful way for first home buyers to buy a property that may be auctioned off at a lower price than what the actual value of the property is. Normally, this is the banks repossessing the property after home loan payments have been missed, or it could be a creditor of the homeowner. So that would be another, let's say the body corporate would then sue the owner for unpaid levies. And because of that, repossessed properties do get marketed at a lower price because the banks are only really looking to just recover what is outstanding on the bond. However, there's definitely prior homework that needs to be done before understanding whether that repossessed property is actually going to be a long-term investment for you.
So let's give us our homework. We may as well know what it is. I mean, a site visit, is that part of it? What else?
So number one would be actually looking at the true property value of not only the house, but the area around it. If you're
Right.
looking to flip a house and, renovate and then resell and try and get a profit, is your area actually valued at a price that you would be able to make a recovery on that? Often there are bidding wars at these auctions that then inflate the price to what it could possibly be that the property values are lower than what you're actually
Yes.
paying for the house. So at TPN, we do offer property reports where you can pull suburb by suburb to understand the value of the homes in your area and whether it's going to be a good investment later on if you are looking to resell.
I mean, these bidding wars, and I'm not expecting you to go into detail, but can they be artificially driven? That somebody's put into the room that keeps raising the price with no real intention of buying it, and if that is the case, I would assume that certainly makes what you've just said, that thorough check beforehand on what not only is perceived value but actual value would be critical.
So I haven't heard of any scenario that has happened where there is someone in the actual room at the auction
Yes.
that's inflating the price. But it's possible, there could be someone there because at the same time, what will happen is that if it's being repossessed by the bank, they'll then only recover what's outstanding on the bond.
Right.
Anything over and above that will then go to the owner of that home. So look, it could be possible, but I haven't heard of any kind of situation in that respect.
I don't know if this is a ridiculous scenario, but as you can see, I have a fertile imagination. But often when people lose homes, there is a great deal of unhappiness because, they can be contentious decisions taken by the bank. Is there a way of establishing that you buy something that's absolutely litigation-free, that there's no likelihood of a ring at the doorbell where somebody says, hang on a minute?
So absolutely. In order for a property to be sold, you do require a municipal clearance certificate. That's so important to be to obtain, to make sure that all the municipal bills or debts that are currently outstanding,
Right.
that those are addressed. Another thing would be a levy clearance certificate, to request that as well, to be able to say there are no outstanding levies on this home and there's no way that a body corporate will then come after me for those debts. So yeah, there's definitely proof of clean accounts that you're not getting into more trouble.
Yes.
And you can also request COC certificates to be able to understand that the property actually is in a good condition. I always recommend, do an inspection of the property with a proper contractor or a builder to be able then to go around and say, well, this is what is actually not compliant, and we need to get that in order before the property is sold.
Thanks so much, Rowan Terry, Senior Legal Counsel at TPN Credit Bureau. Maybe you yourself have bought a repossessed house. If you've got an experience to share, a couple of bits of sage advice to add to the tips that Rowan has already shared with us, please do that. Give us a call on that on 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702. Very, very keen to know if any of you have any connection whatsoever to the people who are out in Ukraine, or if they're out in Russia, rather, on the front line, fighting in the war against Ukraine. And I asked that question because we focused very much on about 17 or 18 families. But from the interview with Thulani Mahlangu, he was saying that when the South African troops were brought back from the front line in a bus, the impression that was shared with them by the people who are actually out in that part of Ukraine was that there were as many as 100 people, South Africans. Some of them tricked into this, the way the people we focused our attention on were, but others who went there knowingly, willingly, and actually signed up to join this war on the Russian side. But if you have any connection to anyone there, long shot I know, but you never know, please do give me a call on that on 011 8830 702. Chat to the producers and maybe we can spend some time on the show just learning from you in terms of what you've managed to learn about all of that. 702 Drive, it's 5 o'clock.
This is EWN.
A major route remains closed off to traffic after a fatal crash in Limpopo, and two questioned over shooting at the home of Mugabe's son. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Let's begin with this update. A full investigation is now underway to determine the exact circumstances surrounding a bus accident which claimed 5 lives in Limpopo today. The accident occurred on the N1 near Ingwe Lodge in the Vembe district in the early hours of this morning. It's understood the bus was travelling to Zimbabwe from Johannesburg. When the driver lost control, the bus then veered off the road and landed in a ditch. The road remains closed off to traffic this afternoon while emergency services, traffic officers and investigators work on that scene. Limpopo Transport spokesperson Matume Tawiatswala.
The accident resulted in 5 fatalities: the male driver, 1 female passenger and 3 male passengers. 4 passengers sustained serious injuries, 10 were critically injured and 18 others suffered minor injuries. All the injured were taken to nearby hospitals.
Police are questioning 2 people, including the son of former Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe, following a shooting incident in Hyde Park, Johannesburg today. 29-year-old Bellarmine Mugabe was seen handcuffed earlier after a man who is believed to be an employee of his family was shot this morning. The incident occurred at a luxury property occupied by the young Mugabe, Oren Singh reports.
Police remain on the scene in Hyde Park where a shooting took place earlier today in which the son of former Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe is believed to have been involved. The shooting of an employee of the Mugabes took place just around the corner from President Cyril Ramaphosa's private home. According to police, members of diplomatic police were patrolling the area when they were flagged down by a security company who informed them of the shooting. While police claim the victim is a gardener who worked on the property, EWN understands the 23-year-old is in fact a security guard who was employed by the family. Police spokesperson Dimakatsu Nevuhului.
At the moment, we don't have the firearm, but our dog unit, like I indicated, we do have our dog unit inside. They are searching through, but we did manage to find a cartridge, and that cartridge will be taken in to form part of the investigation.
Oren Singh, Eyewitness News, Hyde Park.
Suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya has failed to show the Madlanga Commission documents that called for the disbandment of the Political Killings Task Team. But Sibiya has tried to justify the disbandment and the directive that was later issued by Minister on Special Leave, Senzo Mchunu. Sibiya was back before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry today to answer to allegations of improper conduct and how he tried to influence the disbandment of the Political Killings Task Team. Babalondenze reports.
Shadrack Sibiya has been adamant that the instruction to carry out the disbandment of the PKTT was given by his boss, Fani Masemola. This is despite Masemola's submission that he was surprised by Senzo Mchunu's directive in December 2024. Today, Acting Deputy Chief Justice Mbuyisele Madlanga questioned Sibiya about this and asked him to point out where this is mentioned in his correspondence.
All that we want, and that was indeed Commissioner Baloyi's question, is for you to show us a decision that says, PKTT, you are now being disestablished.
Spear conceded that there was nothing in writing that called for the PKTT's disbandment.
These two documents that I'm sitting with, there is no where it is written PKTT must be disbanded.
Spear said his understanding was that all task teams would be done away with to support other permanent units. Babalo Ndanza, Eyewitness News.
President Cyril Ramaphosa has made it clear that broad-based black economic empowerment will not be abandoned despite pushback from some of government of the National Unity partners. Ramaphosa says BBEE should not be viewed as a cost to the economy, but rather an investment in sustainable growth. Replying to the debate on the State of the Nation address in Parliament this afternoon, Ramaphosa hit back at those who have called for these policies to be scrapped, saying they are making false claims that it's only benefited a few. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says the Constitution requires government to redress the injustices of the past and to build a society that is equal and just. This, he says, can't be achieved without transforming the economy.
It cannot be acceptable to anyone in this House for African people, colored people, and Indian people to be poorer and have fewer opportunities than white people. It cannot be acceptable.
He says despite progress to reduce the disparity in household income across population groups, white households still earn nearly 5 times more than that of black Africans.
Now is not the time to abandon black economic empowerment. Now is the time to make it even more effective.
Ramaphosa says a review will be undertaken of the BBEE framework to ensure it supports greater transformation and inclusive growth. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
And a British couple detained in Iran since 2025 has been sentenced to 10 years in jail. They were arrested for espionage while travelling through the country on an around-the-world motorcycle journey. Their family said the sentencing followed a court appearance last October that lasted just 3 hours. During proceedings, they were not allowed to present any defense. News of the sentences come amid heightened tensions over the country's nuclear program, with US President Donald Trump deploying military assets to the region and again hinting he might strike that country. Gold is trading at $4,985.69 an ounce. The rand is at 16.19 to the dollar, 21.80 to the pound, 19.05 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $70.35 a barrel.
Travelling from Cresta Blackheath heading towards Rand Park Ridge, there's traffic pressure on Beyers Naudé from Judges to Jim Fushia. Heading towards Alexandra, traffic heavily backed up. N3 southbound from the Between to Change to London Road.
In your sport, Marazan Cup ruled out of the ODI series against Pakistan due to illness. Bedway Premiership title race heats up as Mamelodi Sundowns claim a crucial win over Orlando Pirates. And Arsenal squander 2-goal lead as Wolves secure late draw.
A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with isolated afternoon showers expected. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 17 degrees, peaking at 27. Pretoria 18 and 30, and Vereeniging 16 and 30 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: a full investigation is underway to determine the exact circumstances surrounding a bus accident which claimed the lives of 5 people in Limpopo this morning.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, welcome to the final hour of the show. Thanks so much for joining us and staying with us if you joined us earlier. Coming up shortly, we're going to be taking a closer look at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. The man in the witness box over the last 2 days now has been Deputy National Police Commissioner General Shadrack Sibiya. Many questions asked about whether he got money from the businessman Vusimuzi Matlala. Certainly there's been plenty of evidence describing drop-offs, deliveries and so on. He's had to answer questions in that regard. What did he have to say and what's still to come? We'll put those questions to News 24's Karen Morn. She's joining us shortly with that. We'll get an update from the markets with Stephen Curtis. Seems like it's been a bit of a choppy and rough day today, and that oil price keeps going up. I don't think we'll have good news later on, maybe in March, when the fuel and diesel prices go up. All expectations are is that that's exactly what's going to happen. Please get in touch with any stories we might have missed. Maybe you live in the Hyde Park area or close to where one of the day's other big stories is playing out, where the son of former Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe is currently in police custody after a shooting incident on his property. Chatunga Mugabe is facing police custody at the moment. I think another man is being held as well, but any insights into that, maybe you live around there, give us a call or drop us a note. 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Top of the afternoon, Tate John and team, my fellow listeners. Actually, in my car, it depends how resourceful someone is going to be, but then also the weight. I don't want anybody like above certain weight at the back seat because they are going to kill my shock absorbers. I had a problem whereby like the whole suspension was messed up because of like loading people above a certain weight.
Hi, John. I hear most South Africans saying this Mugabe boy, Robert Mugabe Jr., must go back to his country. What most people forgot is that his mother is Grace Mugabe, who was born in South Africa. And then it's possible that she has dual citizenships. This makes her sons to be South Africans too. So when we say Robert Mugabe must go back home, he's home already, which to me I think it is unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Good afternoon, John, and the listeners. This is Madisi here. So on the issue of sitting in the front seat, I've got a guy, a friend of mine. Him and his wife bought a car. So now, whenever he comes to fetch me or fetch any of our friends to go anywhere, the front seat of his car, you cannot sit there because that's his wife's seat. So him and his wife have this thing that even if the wife is not there, so that door is not open. So when he comes to fetch me or anybody, you gotta sit at the back because that front seat is for his wife, even if she's not there, which I find so weird. So whenever we ride in his car, we all now know that you simply cannot sit there. So we drive, sit at the back, and that seat next to him is empty.
Very interesting. Well, I mean, you can say it's weird, but hey, it's his car. He can do whatever he likes, I guess. Has he never explained it to you? I'd be interested to know. Or have you never bothered to ask? Maybe it's just something you accept. Grace Mugabe, by the way, born in Benoni 60 years ago, if you had any question about, where in South Africa was she born? 12 minutes past 5. Let's get the very latest traffic news now with Karabo Chali.
EWN Traffic.
EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS the word out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Problems in the Blackheath area. Don't know if that's a knock-on from the Rand Park Ridge problems we're seeing, because they're not right next door to each other, but in the same area.
No, most definitely are. Traveling through Blackheath, heading towards Rand Park Ridge. We still have traffic pressure. This is on Beyers Naudé from Judges to Jim Fushia due to that earlier accident. Pulls off traffic gridlocked on Witkoppen Road between Main and Stonehaven. Bryanston, traffic sluggish, heading towards Fourways, N1 southbound from the Bethlehem to change to Winnie Mandela Drive. If you're heading into Alex, there's traffic pressure. This is on the N3 southbound between the Bethlehem to change and London Road, and in Edenvale, bumper-to-bumper traffic traveling towards Bedford View. That's on the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Gilulis interchange. I also see some delays. This is if you're traveling through Bedford View heading towards Alex. There's slow-moving traffic. N3 northbound. This is between the Geldenes interchange and Gilulis. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-7021-702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Love is in the air this month, but the aftercare teachers won't be feeling the love if you're late for pickup. Fortunately, the Outsurance pointsmen are here to ease the traffic congestion so you can get to the school on time. With the Outsurance pointsmen on the roads for the past 20 years, we can all get where we need to be quickly and safely. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In proud partnership with 702. Show them some love online using #pointsmenlove. Licensed insurer and FSP.
Driving the conversation on 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Powered by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
When we talk about longevity, you've been around and you've come back, you've done a TV show, you've come back into acting as well. But what I found interesting was these little breaks that you take. And I don't know if that's intentional or if there's work that comes and you just take it.
I am intentional about taking a break because I find that the industry can easily consume you. It can eat you alive. Because it consumes you, end up feeling like a consumable, you know, and lose the essence of who you are. Well, with me, you know, so it was always a choice that I would get out of it and come back in again.
The legendary TV presenter and businesswoman Zandi Nhlapo.
Clement Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
For over a decade, Aluma Capital has had one simple mission: to help you secure the financial future you deserve. Over the past 10 years, they've empowered thousands of clients with personalized strategies, expert advice, and impressive returns of up to 13.2%. Whether it's growing wealth, securing retirement, or planning for the unexpected, Aluma Capital is there every step of the way. Visit aluma.co.za today. Aluma Capital is a licensed FSP. T's and C's apply.
The team's on a roll today. Let me focus on payroll. Duty calls in the kitchen. That's why I have a business insurer that is agile and on the ball all the time on all things. I chose My Way Business Insurance, getting 24/7 emergency service and saving on my premiums, plus my business assist to handle my admin.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Meet Tato Mahate, CMO of Koitech, proving that South African tech can take on the world. Tato, why was Telkom Business the right call for your team?
Bottom line was connectivity and ensuring that we have the right service provider.
With Telkom Business Fiber, Koitech seamlessly connects local innovations with international manufacturing.
Get Stream Connect Fiber from just 399 Rand per month. Call 10213 or click telkom.co.za. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
17 minutes past 5. Well, another very, very interesting day at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, roughly halfway, as I understand it, in the hearings engagement with the suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner, General Shadrack Sabir. Day one, as I mentioned, I think earlier today, but certainly highlighted yesterday, was him working off his prepared statement, very much framing issues as he saw them and was, I think it's fair to say, hoping the Commission would see them. Today, a little less predictable for the man on the witness stand. So how did he do in what was asked? Karen Morn, legal journalist at News 24, joins us now on 702 Drive. Karen, a very good afternoon to you. Before we get into the details, can I just clear something up? There's constant references to impalas. I've always assumed that impalas is a pseudonym for bucks and all of this is money. I just want to be absolutely sure, though, because we've had buffaloes in our national life before. These are not impalas, are they?
No, in fact, it seems that they could be, because in relation to those messages, there were messages exchanged between Matlala, of course, witness F, who was on the version of the commission, a conduit by which Sabia would communicate with Matlala. And there was a Rudy farm manager figure who had sent a voice note saying, where must I, basically deliver these impalas. And it very much appears that they may in fact have been real-life impalas. We've yet to hear Shadrach Sabia's explanation for it, but certainly from the perspective of evidence leader Matthew Chaskelson, he regarded as the impalas as being a potential mechanism by which Matlala would have, essentially bribed Sabia.
Well, I've just Googled impala prices. So, I mean, if the bribes are going to be substantial, they need a huge area, but they're going to need a massive truck because impalas are going for sale. I haven't bought any yet, but I'm just trailing the prices. 1,850 Rand each, rounded up to 2,000. But let's park that. I've just been assuming it's a what do you call it? A synonym, a euphemism, shall I say, for bucks. And that there's hard cash exchanging. But Karen, let's get into the meat of things. Much of the time, the sense I get was spent in trying, first of all, to establish General Shadrach Sabia's relationship to Kat Matlala, but crucially, his relationship to Witness F, who portrayed himself as a go-between between the two men, i.e. the General and Mr. Matlala. How far did the commission get? Are they any closer in uncovering what the real relationship is and its nature?
Well, as he's done throughout this evidence, is Shadrach Sabia has responded to the accusation against him by essentially either minimizing his own responsibility for the situation or throwing as much mud as possible. So in relation to the Witness F, issue, he said, well, Witness F did not report directly to me, and there's no truth to the idea that he acted as a middleman. However, I am not going to attempt to distance myself from this person because he was a very supportive guy who was well known to many other cops, including, of course, Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, of course, Nkwanazi, that figure, the person who has really blown open this entire inquiry process with his allegations. So he just, a very blunt denial, which of course the commission is going to get into as it progresses further into its statement. And then, of course, constant attempts to impute more serious accusations to those people within the police service that he clearly regards as highly critical of him or, potential antagonists to him within the mini drama that the commission is clearly demonstrating on a daily basis.
I mean, one of the things where people, and he's not the first to do it, the General, is, to my mind, Karen, where they say, well, that person is not in my line of command. Surely that's entirely irrelevant if the matters being canvassed and issues at stake have to do with things that are irregular at best and more likely illegal. I mean, whether the person reports to you, I would have thought is neither here nor there.
Well, the difficulty for Sabia is that he went to the ad hoc committee and told them that, quote unquote, he'd only met with Kat Matlala 5 times. He also said that this first meeting that he had with him was in February 2024. He subsequently changed that to January 2024, and it was strictly speaking in relation to Matlala's, Tshwane Medicare District healthcare contract with the police. We hear, and we must remember, John, that Witness F was not a super enthusiastic witness. He literally had to, he was litigating, he was doing everything he could, and it was only when it was made clear to him that he faced possible prosecution if he didn't come clean with the inquiry that he started to try and testify about this plethora of WhatsApps that are exchanged between him, Matlala, and Sabia, where it very much appears that he was a conduit of communication between those two men. So we know from that evidence that there were more than one meeting with Kat Matlala, and that those meetings were not disclosed to the ad hoc committee. And of course, in his evidence yesterday, Sabia is saying, oh, well, I had a few interactions with him, but at that stage he wasn't accused of any criminality, etc., etc. Well, the question then becomes, why did you not tell that to the ad hoc committee? Why was there this insistence on saying, well, I only met him as the acting, national commissioner, and that was the extent of it. And then we now have this testimony from Witness F, who Sabia has not sought to undermine in any way.
Yes.
Said, like he's a biker, I know him, I've got photos of him with other cops, including Mkhwanazi, etc. But no real attempt at this juncture in the stage of the commission to deal with the overwhelming evidence against him that was secured with a valid police warrant for that man's phone. So there's been an attempt to sort of brush aside that testimony. He hasn't gotten into it in any great detail. And instead, what we have seen is this overt pathology of what I would say is slinging mud and settling scores. And it's anyone who understands how this commission works knows in a room full of lawyers that is simply not going to work.
One of the things that struck me, not for the first time, Karen, is, and I seem to recall hearing the commissioners ask this. I'm sure if I have, they're going to get back to it and perhaps a little bit more thoroughly, is questions asked not just of General Sibiya, but of others. But why were you getting involved in contract matters? That's not your department. It seems to come up recurringly that people are going wildly out of their lanes to try and resolve legal, financial and contractual disputes that these business people who appear to have their ear have asked them to help them with. Is this a thread with General Sibiya as well?
Well, we haven't gotten to that evidence as yet.
Yes.
But what we, at this point in the questioning stage of the commission, which of course we are all sort of sitting on the edge of our seats, watching this, is that there's been a very profound focus on the disbandment of the PKTT, or the Political Killings Task Team, that was put into place by Police Minister Senzo Mkhunu, who's now on gardening leave, in this remarkable turn of events on the 31st of December 2024. And, this attempt by Sibiya to sort of distance himself from that by throwing as much mud on the National Police Commissioner, Fani Masamolo, and really almost, as you've pointed out, in some way going back to that initial harsh questioning by the commission about why Masamola went along with Mkhunu's, what he described as Mkhunu's unlawful directive to disband this unit, whose effectiveness Sibiya himself had lauded in March 2024 and also supported budget for.
Right.
And he faced a lot of harsh questions about why would you then transform your apparent support. He called their work outstanding, John, in 2024.
Yes.
You transform that to now being, the unit needs to get subsumed into the murder and robbery squad, etc., these complaints, etc., etc. And of course, it hasn't been said in this explicit term, but we know that one very important event occurred in February 2024. And on Sibiya's own version, that was when he met Kat Matala, who the PKTT was a party to investigating and raided on the 6th of December 2024, just a few weeks before that disbandment letter.
Thank you so much. Karen Moore, legal journalist at News 24. You can pick up her coverage on the News 24 site. Back at the Madlanga Commission tomorrow is the suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner, General Shadrack Sibiya. Still, I get the sense very much working off the basis of his affidavit. In other words, to a large degree, framing the conversation and to a significant degree, I think, it's not holding off questions, but I think the free question time which will follow will be very, very interesting indeed. We'll follow the story closely. It's 5:27.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, a very good afternoon to you. The market closed, the money show tonight between 6 and 8, and I'm sure lots of business news as well. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. Yeah, lots of business news, lots of corporate updates today. The JSE actually recovering quite nicely towards the end of the session. The all share ending just 0.55% down, 121,845 points. Financials down 0.34, industrials down 0.54, resources down 0.82. Gold price recovering, sort of hovering around $5,000. Brent crude still above $71 an ounce, and that I think has had a big impact on Sasol. They're up nearly 11% on the day, John. Pan-African Resources, they're up 3.4. Remember their stellar results yesterday. And while we're there, Gold Fields also announcing their results today. So joining other gold miners and reporting really extraordinary numbers. Headline earnings per share more than double last year. Revenue up more than 67%. It's giving back $1.7 billion to shareholders. That's through dividends and buybacks and things like that. And it is kind of, what do you do with the money? Where do you put it? And actually you have to give it to the people who own you, which is generally the shareholders. Mondi, they're up 2.67% on the day. They reported basic earnings per share down nearly 24%. There was an increase in revenue of 3%. That packaging industry facing significant headwinds. They're talking up their resilience. While Kumba Iron Ore, also with an update today, profits up by nearly 20%, sales up by 2%. There's been a better performance from Transnet, which helps. They've been able to get 12% above the benchmark for its iron ore. Kumba down 4.41% on the day. Also down most of the communications companies. So Telkom's down 3.78%. MTN is down 2.49%. Vodacom also down on the day. Implats and some of the platinum producers down a little bit. So Implats down 2.49%. Valterra down nearly 2%. And City Lodge reporting their adjusted headline earnings up by 27%, but the group occupancy rate, how many people were in a room, how often were rooms occupied, up 4.2%. That's significant, John. It's a big increase to 61.6%. Maybe a sign that something's moving in the accommodation sector. We should just have the G20 every year. No one seems to want to go to this one for some reason. The Dow Jones in the US is down 0.46%. The Nasdaq is down 0.14%. The S&P 500 down 0.2%. People concerned once again about tech stocks. The gold price, $5,000.20 an ounce. Platinum, $2,063.36. Brent crude, $71.15. The rand to the dollar, $16.15. To the euro, $18.99. Call it 19. To the British pound, $21.74. On the Money Show tonight, we'll speak to the CEO at Kumba Iron Ore. Looking forward to that conversation. The Competition Commission, that finding that PG Glass and Glassfit, you were right. They were working as a cartel. So more on that. We've been trying to hear from them. We haven't yet. We'll talk about the issue of a fiscal anchor, why we need a post office, and then what is happening with microchips and what that is going to do to the price of your next cell phone. Stephen Crotus, EWN Business.
Thank you, Stephen. 29 minutes now to 6 o'clock on 702 Drive. The latest news now with Mbali Dlamini. We're out in Tshwane, where trade unions and the Metro have been banging heads. Seems like they've come to some sort of solution, I believe.
They definitely have, John, but I'll start you in Ekurhuleni now, where authorities are still on the scene of a factory fire in Dalville in Germiston this afternoon. It's understood that blaze broke out at a local chemical factory, forcing a mass evacuation. Residents have been warned to avoid the area completely over fears of explosions. It's not yet clear what caused that fire, but work is underway to extinguish it. Ekurhuleni EMS spokesperson William Ntladi.
We are evacuating currently. Basically, all the personnel and staff members around the factory itself up until we find out exactly what chemicals do they have and the dangers that are related to them.
To that story in Tshwane now, John, the Tshwane municipality has reached an agreement with trade unions over the 1 billion rand in backdated salaries owed to workers. In 2022, the municipality reneged on implementing a previously agreed upon 3.5% salary increase for its workers, citing financial difficulties. After years of litigation, the municipality has now agreed to pay that increase. At a media briefing today, Tshwane Mayor Nasipi Moya said that the backdated salaries will be paid out over 3 years, with the lowest earning workers receiving their money first.
Importantly, those employees who leave the city of Tshwane, either through retirement or resignation, will be paid their outstanding back pay on exit. This settlement honors workers while safeguarding service delivery and long-term fiscal health.
President Cyril Ramaphosa says there's no denying that his government has made significant progress. Ramaphosa adds that the last 30 years of democracy have yielded a lot of positives which benefited the majority of South Africans. Ramaphosa made the remarks while replying to the two-day debate of his State of the Nation address in Parliament this afternoon.
There can be no doubt that we have made progress
Even those that deny that we have made progress know that we have made progress.
He says while the last 3 decades have seen improvement in the lives of South Africans, state capture took its toll on state institutions.
Over the last 8 years, our country faced some of the most intractable and difficult challenges. But working together, we have undertaken a program of institutional renewal by stabilizing what was weakened through state capture.
And Equal Education says deploying the SANDF to gang-riddled areas is not enough to protect young people from gangsterism. The lobby group says government should initiate long-term measures to safeguard learners within the country's education system. The SANDF will be deployed to gang and crime-ridden areas in the Western Cape, Gauteng and Eastern Cape within the next week. Carlo Peterson has more.
Equal education researcher Yolisa Piliso says young people who drop out of school become prone to joining gangs.
So it is important that when learners are already in schools, the Western Cape government, together with the national government, should play enough role in ensuring that learners continue to be in the system to be safeguarded.
Piliso says the deployment of the SANDF to gang and crime hotspots will only offer learners and teachers short-term relief.
The numbers of crime may matter, and maybe all of that may decrease only at the time in which the army is being deployed. But that is not a sustainable, it's not also a long-term solution.
Piliso says learners need strengthened in-school support systems and better policing in gang-infested areas. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng tomorrow with isolated afternoon showers expected. Lows of between 16 and 18 degrees and highs of between 27 and 30.
Germiston Boksburg expect about a 20-minute delay heading towards Brakpan on the N17 eastbound from Osborne to Rondebold. Edenvale slow-moving traffic. This is on the R24 westbound from Edenvale Road to the Gilulis interchange and travelling between Blackheath and Rand Park Ridge. Traffic remains a bit sluggish on Bayers Nordia from Judges to Jim Fushia.
The top story in EWN, Ekurhuleni authorities remain on the scene of a factory fire in Delville, Germiston this afternoon.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
We have a whole generation that experienced apartheid that at some point is going to be gone. There are many stories that have already been lost from individual experiences. But what can every individual that is listening do to help in preserving our African heritage?
If we take a bit of time to learn and to value, what that will mean is that the history and the past will not only be left in the past, but basically comes to the present and inform our present choices.
Dr. Pella, Executive Director of the African World Heritage Fund.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
This is a message from Johannesburg Water. Water infrastructure vandalism has tragic and dangerous consequences. The theft of manhole covers can result in fatalities, especially among children. Each damaged pipe, illegal hookup, or vandalized pump jeopardizes access to clean water, disrupts service, and threatens public safety. Report suspicious activity to the City of Johannesburg at 0800 002 587. Help combat water infrastructure vandalism. Your alertness can prevent disasters. Johannesburg Water, a water utility that cares.
You can become a victim of a legal problem. Wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental disputes, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
The Checkers Extravaganza is now on with over 1,500 deals every week. Like Clover Butro Full Cream Butter Spread 500 grams for $79.99. Lancewood Cheddar or Gouda Cheese 900 grams for $129.99. And Baby Soft White or Supreme Quilts 2-ply toilet rolls 9 per pack, any 2 for 129 rand. Valid until 22 February. Only at Checkers, Checkers Hyper, or shop on 6060.
Smart Steve from Momentum, hello.
Smart Steve, my daughter just turned 18, right? And now she's got a license and a boyfriend.
You're worried about her safety. With Momentum Safety Alert, she can access help 24/7.
Is that the emergency response version of Curry in a Hurry?
For sure. She can get help at the touch of a button for free.
Free? For all that and all?
Visit momentum.co.za or call 0860 006 784. Momentum Insure, keeping you safe on your journey to success. Momentum Insure is an authorized non-life insurer. T's and C's apply.
Get your brain in the game, because the brain of 702 is back with your chance to flex your general knowledge smarts. There's 3,000 Rand up for grabs every day, and Brain of the Week wins 10,000 Rand, plus a spot in the finals to compete for the grand prize, 30,000 Rand in cash. Enter on primemediaplus.com. Do it now, and then catch 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa and 702 Drive with me, John Perlman, for your chance to be the brain of 702. TCs and more on primemediaplus.com.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, John. I just said the guy said the bus was full coming from Ukraine. The recruitment was not only from South Africa, it was African countries. There's a woman who appeared from Kenya who said she just wants a bone of her husband to bury it because she did hear that her husband passed on during the war because he was recruited as well under false pretense. Thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah, thank you for adding that detail. And in fact, it was mentioned when we were covering the story last week. I meant to look into it further, that Kenya had managed to bring their citizens back also. It would seem entrapped with promises that were not and promises that they were going to go there to train in other ways, and finding themselves absolutely stuck fighting on the front lines. I do think, though, that maybe that busload was just South Africans, unless the Russian President Vladimir Putin gave a directive that all African soldiers should be given a chance to extricate themselves and go home. We'll have to try and clarify that a bit more. But clearly there are more South Africans there than the ones we've been talking about. 19 minutes to 6.
EWN Sport.
Well, we heard from Abdeslam Wadu, the Pirates coach, earlier. Tolakele, the Sundowns coach, has also had his say about last night's top-of-the-table match.
Absolutely, John. And Miguel Cardoso says Sundowns will not be getting carried away, having closed the gap at the top of the Betway Premiership standings down to 3 points. Brian Leon Brace helped the Brazilians secure a 2-1 win over leaders Orlando Pirates, while the defending champions have a game in hand.
In the good moments, we should not step on the toes, but also in the moments that are not so good, we should not be on the ankles. Because football is like that, life is like that in the game. Look, it's not now because we won 2 matches, fantastic and so important, that we believe that, or at least I don't behave like that. My life will be absolutely the same.
Pirates saw their goal breach for the first time in 6 matches, having last conceded against Golden Arrows back in November 2025. Abdeslam Wadu admits he's disappointed to see his side fail to keep a clean sheet, as a solid defense has been the cornerstone of their campaign.
We are going to analyze quickly how we concede the goal and how maybe we can correct the way that we concede that goal. I have an image, but I don't want to treat the problem at the final, I want to see at the beginning of the action, because in football sometimes you have the possibility to treat the problem at the beginning of the action.
Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta has urged his side to use the pain of their shock 2-2 draw with Wolves to revive their Premier League title challenge against Tottenham Hotspur. That draw left the Gunners 5 points clear of second-place Manchester City, who have a game in hand as they drop points for a second game in a row.
I think we need to go through the pain, and you need to go through that, looking in the mirror and understanding that what the game requires now and the next action is on Sunday. That's it. Anything that we say from here to there, it's fine. But we need to keep all that in our tummies to show it on Sunday. That's what we have to do.
And at the Six Nations, Scotland wing Duan van der Merwe is back in the starting 15 as one of 5 changes for their clash against Wales. Welsh rugby has been in free fall over the last few years, and in this competition, the Dragons have lost 13 straight matches. Assistant coach Danny Wilson has stressed that they can't cut corners in their bid to turn around their fortunes.
Look, we came in, knowing full well that we needed to put a game model in place and we needed to put a kind of big picture in place, and how we stepstone, as I've said before, I'm sorry for boring with the same comments, but the stepstone and building and trying to add layers to our performance to get us to the place that we want to be. But that is a journey, and that's, we've got to stick to that journey and stick to what those processes we believe are the right ones over a period of time, and that's what we're doing.
Tholakele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
At 16 minutes to 6, EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS the word out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Problems in Germiston, let's get the details.
Yeah, that's in the Germiston-Boksburg area heading towards Brakpan. You can expect about a 20-minute delay. N17 eastbound from Osborne to Rondebolt, Edenvale. Also slow-moving traffic that's traveling towards Bedfordview, R24 westbound from Edenvale Road to the Giluli's interchange. Driving through Alex. Traffic heavily backed up. This is heading towards Germiston N3 southbound from the Between interchange to London Road. If you are in the Joburg CBD heading towards Boysons, expect some delays on the M1 southbound. This is from Killarney Benz to the Crown interchange, while in Bryanston, bumper traffic. N1 southbound from the Between interchange to Winnie Mandela Drive. In Equestria, Pretoria, traffic sluggish on Solomon Mahlangu between the N4 and Linwood Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a family driving to their new home, carrying boxes stacked with plates and toys and memories. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a new beginning, a fresh start on the move. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Stay with 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
14 minutes to 6. Okay, let's enjoy some music. Let's stretch our thinking and expand our playlist, certainly mine, by talking about something on a theme. We were chatting a little bit earlier, and I can't quite remember what the songs involved were, but the subject came up of bands and singers and individuals doing covers of various songs, and of course that happens all the time. But then somebody said, yeah, but that cover was completely different to the actual original. So I was scratching my head and thinking, okay, what are covers? And I've ended up liking both of them that are really quite different from the original. So we're going to start off with a couple that came to mind for me, but then please share yours. Covers where somebody went on to do the original, but do it in a way that was completely distinctive, as well as being different. So I'm going to start off with this one. The band is The Cure. The year is 1987. The song's called Just Like Heaven. Okay, so that's The Cure in 1987. 16 years later, Katie Malua, who we featured on this feature a little while back, came along with her version in 2003.
Show me how you do that trick, the one that makes me scream. He said, the one that makes me laugh. He said, and threw his arms around my neck.
The difference, more than just 16 years, completely different. I like both, but I absolutely love the version by The Cure. And if I had to pick one, I'd pick the original. So, covers, please, where the cover is really seriously different from the original, a complete reinterpretation. Send them, please, to 072 702 1702. It's 10 to 6.
Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabotja, 1 to 3 p.m.
We have a whole generation that experienced apartheid that at some point is going to be gone. There are many stories that have already been lost from individual experiences. But what can every individual that is listening do to help in preserving our African heritage?
If we take a bit of time to learn and to value, what that will mean is that the history and the past will not only be left in the past, but basically comes to the present and inform our present choices.
Dr. Pella, Executive Director of the African World Heritage Fund.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabotja.
Let's walk the talk.
The piping hot brand new season of MasterChef South Africa is about to sizzle onto our screens. This Sunday, 20 dynamic home cooks from different backgrounds step into the pressure cooker MasterChef kitchen with a shared mission to chase their culinary dream. But in the end, only one can win the coveted title of MasterChef. Expect big flavors, bold risks, high drama, and some crumbling hearts when these home cooks serve up their very first plate of the season. MasterChef South Africa Season 6 starts this Sunday at 6 p.m. only on ETV.
Amidst global uncertainty, Africa offers opportunities. At the African Markets Conference 2026, decision makers from across Africa and the world will explore how policy reform, market development, and private capital can accelerate sustainable growth across the continent at scale. Learn more at standardbank.co.za/CIB. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Get the advantage this tax year end with Sage. No stress, no scrambling. Just seamless HR and payroll that keeps you ahead of UIF, PAYE, and employment equity, all in one smart cloud solution. With automated compliance, real-time accuracy, and simplified HR and payroll, give your business the tax year end advantage. That's Sage. Visit tax.sage.co.za today.
702 Drive with John Perlman was proudly brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Try Could You Be Loved by Bob Marley and Shakespeare's Sister.
Shakespeare's Sister, Could You Be Loved, the Bob Marley version. I have to say, Bob gets it for me each and every time. Less is more on that particular song. Single voice, and of course the wonderful voice of Bob Marley, but also the bass line just stripped down without all that other stuff. But what do you think? Maybe you've got a view on that. Maybe you think Shakespeare's Sister didn't do it better or worse. They just did it different, also known as differently. Johan throws out a couple. Nothing Compares to You. Prince wrote and performed the original. Sinead O'Connor became famous for her cover version. And JK says, my cover song is titled Hurt, originally by the rock band 9 Inch Nails, which I like, but I absolutely love the Johnny Cash country-like version. Yeah, I'm just discovering all these covers that I actually sometimes need to listen to the originals, never mind the covers. Here's this one, Randy Crawford doing Knocking on Heaven's Door by Bob Dylan, and then her cover of Imagine by John Lennon. I don't think I've heard the Randy Crawford versions of those, but maybe you can just give me your take. Did she do it better than Bob Dylan? Or again, maybe I'm asking the wrong question. Maybe it really is just different. Tony goes back in time with some great ballad singing. Killing Me Softly with his song. The original was Carly Simon. The cover was Roberta Flack. Roberta Flack, I think, gets it from me. And then this one we've spoken about before. And here I think, I don't know which one. It really is a case of absolutely different and distinctive. But Loyal says, my selection is Sounds of Silence by Disturbed versus the original from Simon and Garfunkel. And Loyal has no doubt and says, Disturbed did it best.
Good afternoon, John and team. The one that jumps to mind, the South African local one, was Rabbit doing Charlie, and then the Von Boom rework of it in the mid-90s, I think.
Hi, John. When it comes to the wonderful covers, that tends to stray away from the original, I can't think of anything better than the Barry White's version of Bob Dylan, I Love You Just the Way You Are.
Don't change it, trying to please me. You never let me down before. I don't imagine you're too familiar, and I don't see you anymore. I would not leave you in times of trouble. We never could have come this far. No, Lord, I took the good times, I'll take the bad times, I'll take you just the way you are. Don't go trying some new fashion. Don't change the color of your hair. Hey there, you always have my unspoken passion. Although I might not seem to care, I don't want clever conversation. Don't want to work that hard. No, Lord, I just want someone to talk to. I want you just the way you are.
So Billy Joel with the original there. Barry White just giving it. What else can I say but giving it Barry White? It's a wonderful, smooth voice. I think again, if you had to stack him up and pick one, I think it's Barry White gets that one. What else have we got? Dig in Your Scene by Roxanne Patterson, says Moshe, originally done by the Blow Monkeys, just suggesting that those two are very different without coming to us with a suggestion of which one might have done it better. We've got one more song. Let's listen.
just got your message, baby. It's a sight to see you fade away. The world is a swimming, and you might believe me, reeling. He'll get you in the end, it's God's revenge. Oh, I know I should come clean, but I prefer to deceive. Every day I walk alone and pray that God won't see me. I know it's wrong.
Ish, time flies. That song will be 40 this year. 40. The Blow Monkeys, digging your scene. We've really enjoyed having you with us on 702 Drive. Hope you've been digging our scene. Nope, I don't think it works for a news show, does it? Anyway, have yourself a wonderful Thursday evening from me, John Perlman, and the rest of the team. Good night.
And now, The Money Show
with Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app
and DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA CIB. Discover the latest trends shaping digital assets across Africa. Download the ABSA Africa Digital Assets Insights 2025. Good evening on your Money Show tonight. PG Glass and Glassford found to be operating as a cartel and fixing the price you pay for your new windscreen. The Kumba Iron Ore CEO Mpumi Zikalala will join you tonight as their profits jump nicely. Kaya Sitole on whether a fiscal anchor will really stabilize government's finances. How the impact of that price war over microchips will